There is a feeling that has lived in your body for as long as you can remember. It sits somewhere between your throat and your chest, and it tightens every time you walk into a room and realize, once again, that everyone else seems to be reading from a script you were never handed. You have felt it in classrooms, in churches, in family kitchens, even in the middle of your own celebrations. It is not shyness. It is not brokenness. It is the strange, lifelong sensation of standing half a step outside of every group you have ever belonged to, close enough to be included. Never close enough to be identical. You learn to smile through it. You learn to translate yourself into languages other people could understand, and underneath all of that translating, something in you kept asking one quiet question: why do I not match anything? Chosen one, that question is the reason this message found you today. And before it ends, that question is going to be answered in a way no one has ever answered it for you. Not with comfort, with a fact. A fact about you, about history, and about a decision God made before your first breath that He had never made before. Not once, for anyone. I want to begin with something specific, because you need to know this is not a general message that 1,000 different people could claim. At some point in your life, you stood in front of a mirror and rehearsed a simpler version of yourself before walking into a room. You softened your own intensity on purpose. You practiced being smaller, easier, more familiar. And when it worked, when people finally nodded and accepted you, you drove home feeling more alone than if they had rejected you outright. You have never told anyone how much that hurt, but you remember it. That memory is not an embarrassing detail from your past. It is evidence. It is one of the clearest fingerprints of what you actually are. And by the end of this message, I am going to speak over you the name heaven has been using for you since before you were formed. No human being has ever called you by this name out loud. When you finally hear it, something behind your ribs will recognize it before your mind has time to argue. Here is what will happen between now and that moment. First, you are going to understand, with a clarity you have never had, why every borrowed method, every copied routine, every template that worked beautifully for other people quietly failed in your hands, and why that failure was never a verdict on you. It was data. It was pointing at something magnificent the whole time. Second, you are going to feel something physically release. There is a specific exhaustion you have carried for decades, the exhaustion of auditioning for a life that was never designed to fit you. And somewhere in the middle of this message, when a certain mechanism is finally named, that exhaustion is going to start coming off your shoulders like a coat you forgot you were wearing. And third, you will leave with something to do, not a vague inspiration. A simple daily practice, a first week, walked out day by day, and one decision that changes how you enter every room for the rest of your life. Understanding, release, and a path. All three are coming. But I will not make you wait 20 minutes for the first taste of truth. Let me hand you something right now. Think about the pattern you have never been able to explain. You find a method that is working wonders for someone else. A morning routine, a way of praying, a system for money, for health, for creative work. You adopt it with complete sincerity. And for a while it works. 2 weeks, maybe 6. Then, without any dramatic failure, it simply dies in your hands. The routine that transformed their life becomes a weight in yours. And you called that inconsistency. You called it a lack of discipline. You may have even called it self-sabotage. I need you to hear this slowly. That pattern is not inconsistency. Something in you was rejecting those methods the way a body rejects a transplant that does not match its own tissue. Not because the methods were bad, because they were built from a different blueprint than the one you were made from. A borrowed design can sit on your life for a few weeks, but your deepest architecture will always push it back out. That is not weakness. That is your original design defending itself. There is a full mechanism underneath this, and it has a name. I am going to open it completely in a few minutes, because once you see all 5 of its moving parts, you will understand 30 years of your own history in about 90 seconds. Hold on to the relief you just felt. It is only the first layer. Before we go deeper, I am going to ask you to do one small thing, and I ask it for a reason that has nothing to do with me. There is a moment coming in this message where you will need to take a position on who you are. Most people drift through their entire lives without ever once stating in plain words what they believe about themselves. So, begin now. In the comments below this message, type 4 words. I am the first. You do not fully know yet what they mean. By the end, you will. And you will be able to come back to those 4 words and realize you prophesied over yourself before you understood the prophecy. Now let me tell you where we are going, because what I am about to unfold is not one revelation. It is a cascade. Each truth in this message opens into a larger one. We will start with the signs, the specific marks carried by people who were made without a template. Then, I will show you the machinery that has been quietly draining your life, the reason you learned to hide, and the reason hiding almost worked. Then we will go back before your birth, into words spoken over prophets and craftsmen and wilderness voices, and you will discover that Scripture has a category for what you are, a category so rare that most believers have never once heard it preached. And then, near the middle of everything, I am going to tell you about a discovery, something researchers stumbled into decades ago that explains, in physical terms, what happened to the brightest part of you, where it went, why it faded, and the almost absurd simplicity of the way back. That part of the message changed how I see every struggling, gifted person I have ever met. But it will only make sense after you know who you are. So it waits. For now, stay with this one thought. The ache of never matching was never a malfunction. You have spent your whole life reading it as proof that something went wrong in you. What if it is the one piece of proof that something went unrepeatably right? So let us begin where every honest revelation begins, with recognition. I am going to describe 5 marks. They are not personality quirks. They are the recurring signatures found on people who were created outside of every existing pattern, and they are specific enough that you will know within the next few minutes whether this message truly belongs to you. People made from templates will hear these 5 marks and feel nothing. You will not have that problem. The first mark is the performance you run in groups. When you are with more than 2 or 3 people, some part of you leaves the conversation and goes up into a control room. From there, it monitors everything. Your tone, your posture, how much of your real thought is safe to release into the room. Other people simply talk. You broadcast a carefully translated edition of yourself while the original stands behind glass, watching. And this is why gatherings exhaust you in a way you could never explain. It was never the people, it was the performance. Running a translated self costs energy every single second it is on stage, and you have been on stage since childhood. When you get home from a gathering and feel like you have run a marathon, that is not social fatigue. That is the cost of operating a second self all evening, while the first one held its breath. The second mark is stranger, and almost no one talks about it. You succeed with unusual ease at things you do not care about, and you stall over and over at the one thing you care about most. Tasks that mean little to you seem to complete themselves, but the dream that actually has your name on it, the work you think about while driving, the calling that will not leave you alone, That is where you circle for years without landing, and you have read that as proof the dream was wrong. It is the opposite. The shallow tasks succeed because a translated self can do them. They only require the copy. But the one thing you were actually made for refuses to respond to the copy. It is locked to the original, the way certain doors are keyed to one hand. Your calling has been waiting this whole time for the version of you that you shelved in order to be acceptable. It will not open for anyone else, not even for your own disguise. The third mark shows up in other people before it shows up in you. Strangers tell you things. On planes, in waiting rooms, in checkout lines, people you have known for 4 minutes suddenly hand you the weight of their lives, and afterward they say some version of the same sentence. I do not know why I told you that. All your life, people have sensed a room inside you that does not exist inside most people, a place where heavy things can be set down safely. And all your life, people have also said, with admiration or with suspicion, you are different. You have received that word as a compliment and as an accusation, sometimes in the same week. The fourth mark lives in your body. There is a specific physical signal, a pressure that arrives behind your sternum in the exact moment you are about to conform to something that violates your design. You feel it right before you say yes to a commitment you know is wrong for you. You feel it when you are about to laugh at something that is not funny to you, or shrink an opinion to keep a room comfortable. It is not anxiety. Anxiety is noisy and scattered. This is one clean note of no, played on a string most people do not have. Your body has been refusing the template for decades, even while your mouth kept agreeing to it. And the fifth mark is the loneliest one. You have always felt out of sync with your own generation, as if you arrived either too early or too late for the world around you. The things your peers chased never fully made sense to you, and the things that set you on fire seemed invisible to them. You are like an instrument that was tuned for a piece of music no orchestra around you was performing. So you concluded the instrument was faulty. It never occurred to you that the piece simply had not started yet. If you found yourself inside those 5 descriptions, if your chest tightened with recognition somewhere in the last several minutes, then this message is not near you. It is about you. And I want you to mark this moment. In the comments, type 4 words. No copy before me. Some people will type it and feel nothing. But a few of you will feel your eyes sting as you write it. And that sting is information. Pay attention to it. Now, before I open the machinery, I need you to hear something the way it was actually spoken. The prophets described moments when the voice of God came to them not as thunder, but as something almost unbearably gentle. If that voice were to address the ache we have been naming, the lifelong ache of not matching, I believe it would sound like this. My child, you keep asking me why you do not fit, as if something went wrong on the day I made you. Nothing went wrong. You do not match the others, because I did not consult the others when I formed you. I have never repeated myself, and when I made you, I did something I had never done before. Stop grieving that you are not like them. You were never supposed to be. Sit with that for a moment, because everything that follows is the slow unpacking of those words. And the unpacking begins with a promise I made you earlier. I told you, the pattern of borrowed methods dying in your hands has a full mechanism underneath it. It is time to open it completely. Start with the symptom, and let me make it uncomfortably precise. Somewhere in your home, right now, there is a graveyard of systems. A journal with 11 pages used. A course you finished with total sincerity and never applied. A routine you followed for exactly 19 days. A way of eating, a way of praying, a way of planning your week. each one adopted from someone whose life it genuinely transformed, each one now lying in a drawer, like a costume from a play that closed early. You do not just remember these, you feel a small wave of shame every time you see them, and you have an explanation for that graveyard. You tell yourself, you are undisciplined, you start strong and fade, you say. You tell yourself that other people have some substance you lack, some mineral of consistency that was left out of you. Maybe a parent said it first and you simply kept the sentence running. That explanation has been sitting on your life like a stone slab for decades. I am here to tell you the explanation is false, not partially false, completely false, and I can prove it with one observation from your own history. There are things you have done every day for years without a single chart or reward. The thing you think about while everyone else watches television. The person you pray for without being asked. The private curiosity you keep returning to like a tongue returning to a loose tooth. Where your design is engaged, your consistency is actually ferocious. Undisciplined people are inconsistent everywhere. You are inconsistent in one specific category, and one only. So what is that category? Every system in your graveyard shares a single trait. Each one was reverse engineered from the life of a person who is not you. And this is the hidden machinery, so lean in. Every method carries the fingerprints of the design that produced it. A morning routine is not neutral. It is a cast taken from the shape of one particular soul. When that soul uses it, design and method agree and power flows. When you pour yourself into that same cast, your edges are cut off. The parts of you that do not fit the mold, which are precisely your most original parts, get pinched, starved, and silenced. For a few weeks, willpower can hold you inside the cast. That is your 19 days. But your deepest architecture treats a foreign blueprint the way a healthy body treats a foreign graft. Quietly, cell by cell, it pushes the thing out. The fading you called failure was actually an immune response. There is a name for this whole machinery, and I want you to have it, because a named enemy loses half its power. I call it the borrowed template. It is the invisible practice of running your one-of-a-kind life through operating instructions that were written for somebody else. Now watch what this does to your past, because this is where the slab starts to lift. Every abandoned journal was not evidence of a weak will. It was evidence of a strong design. Something in you refused, again and again, to be processed through molds that would have sanded off the very features God spent the most care on. You have been calling your immune system a character flaw. You have been repenting year after year for the healthiest thing about you. Think of what that reframe touches. The class you could not force yourself to finish. The business plan copied from a book that worked for thousands and somehow not for you. Even certain relationships where you followed every piece of standard advice and watched the connection starve anyway. You were not failing those templates. Those templates were failing to contain you, and your soul knew it before your mind did. So here is what I want you to do with this today. Before this message even finishes, choose one system you are currently forcing yourself through, one borrowed structure that dies in your hands every few weeks, and instead of recommitting to it for the 11th time, ask a different question entirely. Do not ask, how do I finally make this work? Ask, what was this template built to protect or produce, and what would produce that same fruit in a design like mine? You are allowed to keep the fruit and throw away the mold. That single question is the first act of sovereignty over your own blueprint, and you can take it within the hour. Feel the difference in your chest between these two sentences. I keep failing every system I try. Something in me refuses every mold because I was not made from one. The first sentence has been your biography. The second is about to become your testimony. And yet, what I have just shown you is only the smallest revelation in this cascade, because the next question is obvious. If you were not made from a mold, what were you made from? To answer that, we have to leave your living room and go back, farther back than your childhood, back before your body existed at all, to a sentence God spoke over a terrified young man in a small town called Anathoth. Before we travel to Anathoth, I owe you one honest warning, because I promised you the whole truth and not a curated slice of it. Everything I am teaching you about design and templates is real, and it will change how you move. But as I studied people who carry these 5 marks, I kept colliding with something I did not expect, something that is not spiritual at all. It is physical. Researchers found it decades ago while studying what happens inside gifted children as they grow up, and one of those researchers was handed the highest honor in science for work that touches it directly. What they found explains the specific dimming you have felt. Not sadness, dimming. The sense that there was once a brighter, faster, more vivid version of your mind, a version you can still faintly remember from childhood, and that somewhere along the way somebody turned the lights down and you never found the switch again. You have probably blamed age or stress or screens. The research points somewhere else entirely, somewhere almost no one thinks to look, and what shook me is that the way back is not complicated. It does not require talent or heroic effort. It is almost offensively simple. I am not going to open that door yet, because if I give you the physical answer before you understand your spiritual identity, you will treat a sacred restoration like a productivity trick, and it deserves better. So, file this away. There is a discovered, documented, physical reason the brightest part of you went quiet, and before this message ends, you will know exactly what it is and what was built to reverse it. Now come with me to a small priestly town 3 miles northeast of Jerusalem, about 600 years before Christ, Anathoth. There is a young man there, probably in his late teens, and God has just spoken to him for the first time. His name is Jeremiah. And the first sentence God ever says to him is arguably the most staggering opening line in all of Scripture. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Read that sequence carefully, because the order of the verbs is the revelation. New comes before formed. God does not say, I made a baby and then got acquainted with it. He says, the knowing came first, which means there was a moment, outside of time, when God held a complete idea of Jeremiah. Every fiber of temperament, every strange sensitivity, every capacity that would later make him weep over his nation. And then, and only then, God built a body and a lifetime around that idea. Jeremiah was not born and then assigned. He was designed around the assignment. And notice what Jeremiah does with this information. He immediately objects. He says, I do not know how to speak. I am only a youth. Look at what he is actually doing in that sentence. He is comparing himself to the existing template of a prophet. Prophets were supposed to be seasoned, established, credentialed voices. He looks at the mold, sees that he does not fit it, and concludes he is disqualified. Heaven has just told him he was custom built before the foundations of his life, and his first instinct is to measure himself against a pattern. Do you see yourself in that reflex? Because that reflex is the second machinery I need to expose, and it may be costing you even more than the borrowed templates did. Let me name the symptom. Exactly. There is a move you have wanted to make for years. You know the one. And you have not made it. But here is the strange part. The part that separates you from the merely fearful. You are not waiting for courage. You are waiting for an example. And You keep searching for someone who did the thing you are called to, from a starting point like yours, with a story like yours, so that their path can prove your path is possible. You read biographies, looking for yourself. You scroll through testimonies looking for your circumstances, and you never quite find the match. You explain this to yourself as prudence, due diligence. You say, I am just doing my research. I am learning from those who went before, and research is real. Wisdom does learn from others, but be honest about what you are actually seeking. You are not gathering methods, you are gathering permission. You have made precedent a prerequisite. Somewhere deep down you decided that until history produces one verified case of someone like you succeeding at this, you are not allowed to begin. Now let me show you the trap hiding inside that logic, because once you see it, you can never unsee it. Your mind demands precedent because precedent feels like safety. If someone went first, the bridge has been load tested. That instinct is reasonable for people who were made from common patterns, and for them it mostly works. But you have already discovered tonight what you are. You are not a reprint of an earlier work, which means the case study you are searching for cannot exist. Not because your path is impossible, but because your combination has never been issued before. Think about what you actually are, in plain factual terms. Your exact bloodline has never previously converged. The specific wounds you took, in the specific order you took them, the century you were placed in, with its exact open doors, the unusual cluster of abilities you carry which never seem to belong to one job title, the people only you can reach because your scars match their locks. Run the numbers on all of that, and the conclusion is not motivational poetry. It is arithmetic. There has never been a previous instance of you. God has done many things before. He has never done you before. So when you demand that history show you a precedent before you move, you are asking the past for something the past cannot possibly hold. You are standing in front of the archive of everything that has ever happened, asking the clerk for a file that was never created, and treating the empty drawer as a verdict. The drawer is not empty because your path is unwalkable. The drawer is empty because you are the first one walking it. This is the machinery, and it needs a name so you can catch it in the act. I call it the precedent lie. It is the belief that you need one example of yourself in history before you are permitted to exist at full scale. Now take the machinery of the precedent lie and lay it back over your history, and watch entire decades change their meaning. All those years you called yourself a procrastinator. All those seasons you stood at the edge of your calling with your toes curled over the line, hating yourself for not jumping. You were not weak. You were running a search that could never return a result, and mistaking the silence of the archive for the silence of God. Nobody taught you that first editions do not come with reviews. Even your envy changes meaning under this light. The sharp feeling you get when you watch someone move boldly while you hesitate. That was never proof that they have something you lack. Most of them are walking well-marked trails, and there is real courage in that, but it is a different sport entirely. They needed one yes from their own will. You have been waiting for a yes from all of recorded history. Of course, your start took longer. You were asking a question no library on earth could answer. So here is the agency I am handing back to you right now, and it fits in a single sentence you can use tonight. The next time you catch yourself searching for someone who did it first, stop and say out loud, if it existed already, it would not have been given to me. Say it slowly. If it existed already, it would not have been given to me. The absence of precedent is not the locked door. The absence of precedent is the assignment. And when you truly absorb that, something ancient in you stands up. If that sentence hits something in you, put 2 words under this message: designed once. Let those 2 words be your first act of walking without a map. Now, I promised that the cascade would keep widening, And this next revelation is where the ground truly opens. Because everything I have said so far could sound like beautiful psychology, a kind interpretation of a lonely life. So let us go to the language underneath Scripture itself, to a single Hebrew verb that the writers of Genesis guarded like a crown jewel, and let it testify about what you are. The verb is bara. In the Hebrew Scriptures, bara means to create something out of nothing, to bring into existence what had no prior material, no earlier version, no source, but the will of God. And here is the detail that should make you sit up. In its strong creative sense, the Hebrew Bible reserves this verb for one subject only: God. Human beings are never its author. Kings build, artists shape, mothers bear, but only God performs bara. It is the signature verb of unprecedented action, the word language itself set apart for the moments when God does something that has never been done. In the beginning, God bara the heavens and the earth, and then the verb rests for a while as God forms and fills and arranges. It returns at one precise point in the story. When God makes the human being, so God bara man in his own image. 3 times in a single verse, the verb tolls like a bell, as if the writer could not stop striking it. The text is telling you that when it comes to a human soul, God is not assembling from parts. He is doing the thing only He can do. He is producing an original that did not exist in any form before. There is a second word you deserve to know, and it is the tender one, yatsar. It is the word for what a potter does with clay, the slow pressing of thumbs into wet material, the patient turning of the wheel. When Jeremiah watched the potter work, this was the word. And when Scripture says, God formed man from the dust, it uses yatsar. So hold both words in your hands. Bara says, you are unprecedented. Yatsar says, you were shaped by hand, personally, with the pressure of intention on every curve. Now put them together and hear what the language of heaven is actually claiming about you. You are not a product. Products come from molds, and molds exist so that one design can be repeated cheaply thousands of times with no further thought. You are a work. Works come from bara and yatsar, from nothing, by hand, one time. There is a phrase I want to give you for this, the third name in our cascade, and I want you to keep it for the rest of your life. It is the unrepeated blueprint. Your design was drawn once, used once, and never issued again. Heaven does not run reprints. And here is where the words of this title stop being a compliment and become a doctrine. You are the first person in all of history God did this for. Not the first person He loved. He has loved every soul. Not the first He called. The scrolls are full of the called. But this, the exact project that is you, the precise blueprint He drew when He made your mind, and your wounds, and your century, and your assignment, this He had never done before you, and will never do again after you. The verb bara does not repeat its outputs. You are not one of many, you are one of one. I know what some part of you is doing with that right now, because the trained reflex runs deep. Some voice in you is saying, that is true of everyone though. Every snowflake speech ends this way. So let me sharpen it until it cuts. Yes, every soul is an original, but most people will live and die without ever once operating as one. They will run borrowed templates from cradle to grave, and their originality will remain sealed in the vault, unopened, like a letter never read. The tragedy of the world is not that people are copies. It is that originals volunteer to live as copies because it is cheaper. What makes you different is not that you are unique and they are not. What makes you different is that your design would not let you settle into the disguise. That ache you have carried, the not matching, the pressure behind the sternum, the systems dying in your hands, All of it was your blueprint refusing to stay sealed. Some letters insist on being opened. You are one of them. That is why you are still listening 40 minutes into a message like this, while others clicked away in the first 60 seconds. Go back to Jeremiah one more time, because now you can hear the exchange with new ears. The young man says, "I cannot speak. I am only a youth," and God does not comfort him. God corrects him. Do not say, "I am only a youth." In other words, stop giving me your measurements against the existing template. I did not build you from that template. I knew you before I formed you. The knowing came first. Your specifications are not up for review by the patterns of your era. And then God does something breathtaking. He reaches out, touches the mouth of the young man, and says, "Behold, I have put my words in your mouth." Not the words of earlier prophets, my words, fresh issue. Jeremiah would go on to speak things no prophet before him had been asked to speak, to stand alone against kings and crowds, to be a category the existing system had no shelf for, the first of his kind of voice. And it started the moment he stopped measuring himself against precedent and let the original commissioning stand. If something is burning in your chest right now, I want you to seal this section with your own hands. In the comments, write 3 words: formed, not manufactured. Write it and mean it. Every person who writes it is doing something quietly enormous. They are refusing, maybe for the first time, the oldest insult ever aimed at them, the suggestion that they were supposed to come out like everyone else and failed. You did not fail to be them. You succeeded at being you, and heaven has been waiting for you to notice. Let me make this concrete, because doctrine that stays abstract changes nothing. Think of what happens in the world of made things when something is genuinely one of one. A single painting, a single manuscript, a single pressing. It is not stored with the bulk inventory. It is insured differently, handled differently, guarded by people who understand that if it is damaged, it cannot be reordered. The value of a thing is set by how replaceable it is. And you are the least replaceable object in your entire world. Now notice how you have been handling yourself. You have been storing a one-of-one in the bulk warehouse, talking to yourself in the tone people use for interchangeable parts, comparing your price to the price of mass-produced lives, letting careless hands grade you. If a museum treated its rarest piece the way you have treated yourself, someone would be fired by morning. This is not a plea for arrogance. It is a plea for accurate inventory. So here is a small assignment inside the larger one. For the next 7 days, when you wake, before your feet touch the floor, say 2 words into the dark. First edition, that is all. 2 words, spoken as fact, not as hype. You are not psyching yourself up. You are correcting a label. Watch what those 2 words do to the way you answer messages. Choose your work and walk into rooms by day 3. Labels are quiet, but everything in a life gets organized around them. But now a harder question rises, and it is the honest one. If all of this is true, if you are Bara and Yatsar, an unrepeated blueprint carrying a first edition assignment, then why does your life not look like it? Why does the original feel so dim? Why do you still shrink in rooms, still scroll through the lives of strangers, feeling smaller with every swipe? Because there are 2 more machines running against you, older and more personal than the ones I have shown you. One of them lives in your eyes. The other lives in your childhood. We take them in that order. Start with the machine that lives in your eyes, and let me describe a scene from your actual life. It is late. You are tired, in a way sleep has not been fixing. You pick up your phone for one small thing, and 40 minutes later you surface from a stream of other lives, other kitchens, other marriages, other ministries, other bodies, and you notice the strange arithmetic that has happened inside you. You saw nothing cruel, nobody attacked you, and yet you are somehow smaller than you were 40 minutes ago. quieter, less inclined to attempt anything. You put the phone down, feeling like a rough draft of a person. You have a theory about this too. You think you struggle with envy, or ingratitude, or weak self-esteem, and so you have tried to fix it with gratitude lists and resolutions to stay off the screen. Those help for a week, like every borrowed remedy. But the shrinking keeps returning, and it returns because your theory names the wrong crime. Your problem was never envy. Envy is wanting what another person has. What happens to you is stranger and more corrosive. You are not wanting their lives. You are measuring yourself with their rulers. Here is the mechanism, and it is worth slowing down for. Every act of comparison silently assumes one thing: that the two items being compared were built to the same specification. Compare two copies of the same model, and the comparison yields real information. One runs better, one is worth more. The entire operation depends on a shared blueprint. Now remember what you learned about the verb bara. You are not built to a shared specification. There is no common blueprint between you and any person you have ever envied, which means every comparison you have ever run on yourself returned false data, not slightly distorted data. Categorically false, the way it is false to call a violin a defective drum. The violin will lose every drum contest ever held. It cannot thump. Judged by drum standards, it is a disaster of an instrument, thin, tight, oversensitive, strangely shaped. And the violin can spend its whole existence in the percussion room concluding that it is worthless, unless one day someone draws a bow across its strings, and every instrument in the building goes silent. Nothing about the violin changed in that moment. Only the standard changed. You have been grading a violin by drum rules since you were a child, and so has everyone else who did not know what you were. And comparison does not merely insult you, it robs you, in real time, of the one asset your assignment cannot function without: presence. Every minute spent measuring yourself against another design is a minute your own design goes unoperated. The watchers never build. This is the actual mechanism by which the enemy of your soul keeps first editions in storage. He cannot change what God made you. That verb is closed to him. So instead he keeps your eyes angled sideways, because a blueprint that is never looked at is never built, and he would rather you audit other lives forever than occupy your own for one full day. Now run the reframe over your history. All those years you thought you were losing some great race. There was no race. A race requires entrants of the same category, and your category has one entrant. The lane next to you was never your competition. It was just another unrepeatable work, running a course you were never assigned. You did not fall behind them. You cannot fall behind them. Behind does not exist between two things that share no track. Decades of quiet shame dissolve under that one fact, if you let it in. So here is the act of agency for this machine, and it is physical. The next time you catch the sideways glance beginning, the scroll, the measuring, the shrinking, do not scold yourself. Simply say, "Wrong ruler," and bring your eyes back to your own page. Wrong ruler. 2 words, said with a small smile. The way you would correct a clerk who tried to weigh gold on a fish scale. Then immediately touch your own work for 5 minutes. The antidote to comparison is not self-esteem. It is occupancy. Originals recover the instant they return to their own blueprint. If this message has been reaching places in you that ordinary content never touches, take 1 second and press the like button beneath it. Not for my sake, but because that signal carries messages like this one to other unrepeated people who are still grading themselves with borrowed rulers. Somewhere tonight there is a violin in a percussion room, and your one tap is part of how the bow finds it. Now I want to introduce you to a man almost nobody preaches about, and yet he holds one of the most stunning firsts in the entire Bible. His name is Bezalel. Exodus chapter 31. Israel is in the wilderness, and God has just given Moses the plans for the tabernacle, the dwelling place that will carry his presence through the desert. And then God says something that had never been said about any human being in all of Scripture up to that moment. See, I have called by name Bezalel, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God. Stop there. Read the ledger of history. Abraham was called. Jacob wrestled. Joseph dreamed. Moses stood in the fire of the burning bush. But the first person the Bible ever describes as filled with the Spirit of God is none of them. It is a craftsman, not a prophet, not a priest, not a king, an artisan with sawdust in his hair, and filled. For what purpose? To devise artistic designs, to work in gold and silver and bronze, to cut stones and carve wood. The first infilling of the Spirit in recorded Scripture was given for craftsmanship, for making beautiful things with skilled hands. Nobody saw that coming. There was no template for a Spirit-filled artist, no precedent, no category. If Bezalel had waited for an example of someone like himself in the archives, he would have died waiting, because heaven had decided to do something for him that it had never done for anyone, and the assignment could not be copied from the past because the past did not contain it. Sound familiar? God did not apologize for the strangeness of the combination. He named it, filled it, and put it to work on the most sacred building project on earth. And notice what Bezalel had been before this: a slave, born into Egyptian bondage, likely trained under taskmasters, a man whose gifts had been used for the projects of an empire that did not know his name. The skills were always in him. The empire dimmed them, priced them, harnessed them to someone else, and history would have filed him away as one more anonymous pair of hands. Then God spoke his name out loud, and the first thing heaven declared over him was not your sins or your duties. It was your gifts. I have filled you. The original specification, publicly restored. Here is why I brought you to this man, your strange cluster of abilities, the one that never fits a job title, the mix of insight and craft and mercy and fire that no resume template has a field for. That cluster is not a filing error. It may be your Bezalel signature, a combination heaven composed for a structure that has not been built yet. The tabernacle needed exactly one man, with exactly his blend, at exactly that hour in the desert. Some structure in this generation needs your blend the same way. It will not be built by the credentialed. It will be built by the called. Before we uncover the machine that lives in your childhood, I want you to see something. Not understand it, see it. Because up to now we have been excavating the past, and a soul cannot live on excavation alone. It needs a destination. So close your eyes for a moment if you can, or soften them, and let me walk you forward instead of backward, into a day that already exists in the heart of God, waiting for you to arrive. It is an ordinary morning, perhaps 2 years from now, perhaps sooner. You wake before the alarm, and the first thing you notice is what is missing. The dread is missing. That grey film that used to sit on the first minute of every day, the quiet, oh no, of returning to a life that pinched, it simply is not there. You lie still for a second, almost suspicious of the peace. Then you remember. You do not work inside a borrowed template anymore. The day ahead was designed around your actual blueprint, and your body knows it before your mind finishes waking. Watch yourself move through that morning. You are doing the same categories of things as everyone else. Work, people, problems. But everything is angled differently, cut to fit. The work in front of you draws on that strange cluster of gifts that never fit a job title, and in this life, it is not a liability you explain away in interviews. It is the exact reason people come to you. You solve things no one else can solve, not because you became smarter, but because you finally stopped renting your mind out to assignments that only needed a copy. And notice the people. There are fewer of them than in your old life, and they are realer. Somewhere along the way, the audience you performed for was replaced by a handful of souls who have met the original and stayed. When you speak in this life, you hear your own actual voice, and it no longer startles you. There is a person in that future, maybe a child, maybe a stranger in a hard season, who will one day say that watching you become fully yourself was the permission they had been waiting for. That sentence gets said about you. In this future, it is already normal. Open your eyes. What you just felt is not fantasy. Fantasy is imagining a different person living a different life. What you touched is the same person, you, with the disguise finally off and the original specification finally running. Every mechanism I am teaching you in this message is a plank in the bridge between this morning and that one. And if that future pulled on something in your chest just now, mark the moment. In the comments, write 4 words. I stop auditioning today, because the future you just visited has one entrance requirement, and that is the end of the audition. Which brings us, finally, to the machine in your childhood, the oldest one, the one that built the disguise in the first place. And I need to handle this one gently, because it was not installed by an enemy, it was installed by a child. A brilliant, observant, unrepeatable child who was just trying to survive. Here is the symptom as it looks today. In any new environment, a job, a church, a friendship, you deploy an automatic scan. Within minutes, you have mapped what this group rewards, what it punishes, which parts of you will be welcome, and which parts need to disappear. The editing happens so fast you do not experience it as editing. It feels like politeness. And the fully original you appears almost nowhere in your adult life. Not at work, not at family dinners, sometimes not even in prayer. If someone asked you tonight, when were you last completely yourself in front of another human being, you would have to go silent and search, and the search might come back decades empty. You explain this as maturity. Everyone adapts, you say. Nobody shows their whole self everywhere. And that is true enough to hide behind. But adaptation and disappearance are not the same act, and you know which one you have been performing. The proof is the grief. Ordinary social adjustment does not leave a residue of mourning. Yours does. There is a sorrow that follows you out of rooms where you performed well, and sorrow is never the fingerprint of health. It is the fingerprint of a funeral. Something is being buried in those rooms, over and over, and it is you. So here is the mechanism, and it reaches back further than you may want to look. When you were small, you showed the original freely. Every child does. You said the strange, wonderful things. You had the intense fascinations. You felt everything at full volume, and at some point, the environment gave you its verdict. Maybe it was mockery. Maybe a teacher who kept correcting you toward the average. Maybe a weary parent who just needed you to be easier. The message landed the same way it always lands. The original you is too much, too odd, too intense. Belonging is available, but the price is the original. And here is what you must understand about the child you were. That child did not fail. That child performed a miracle of intelligence. With no power, no options, and no theology, that child correctly read that survival required camouflage and built one, feature by feature, a quieter voice, acceptable interests, softened edges, a copy of the surrounding children, worn over the original like armor. The strategy worked. You made it. You are here. The camouflage did exactly what the child built it to do. The catastrophe is only that nobody ever told the child the emergency was over. So the camouflage kept running, year after year, updating itself for every new environment, growing so sophisticated that eventually even you lost track of where it ended and you began. This machinery deserves its name, and here it is. I call it the reprint disguise. It is the survival program by which a first edition learns to present itself as one more copy in the stack in exchange for being allowed to remain on the shelf. Now let the reframe do its work on your whole story. All those years you called yourself fake, or people-pleasing, or spineless. You were none of those things. You were a masterpiece in wartime storage. Museums do this deliberately. When bombs fall, they crate the originals in plain boxes and stack them among ordinary crates so no one will look twice. Anyone opening the warehouse would see nothing but copies. That was never deception on the part of the painting. That was love on the part of whoever created it. Your disguise was not your falseness. It was the smartest love your child self knew how to give you. But the war ended, chosen one, and you are still in the crate. That is the whole diagnosis. Not broken, boxed. And the act of agency, this time, is not a phrase, but a decision with a date on it. Choose one safe place, one person or one small room, where the stakes are low and the mercy is real. And this week, show one feature you always edit out. One strange opinion. One intense fascination. One true no. You do not have to unveil the whole painting. Just lift one corner of the plain wrapping and let one witness see the brushwork. The disguise dissolves the way it was built, one feature at a time. Take a breath here, because something just shifted in the room, and I want you to honor it before we climb higher. 4 machines are now lying in the open, where you can see them. The borrowed template, the precedent lie, the wrong rulers, the reprint disguise. For most of your life they ran in the dark, and things that run in the dark rule. Things that stand in the light serve. You are not the same listener who pressed play on this message. If you feel the truth of that, there is a release available right now, and I want you to take it physically. Wherever you are, let your hands rest open, palms up. Imagine that lying across those palms is every template you have ever borrowed, every mold you tried to pour yourself into, pressed together into one thin gray folder. Feel its familiar weight. You have carried it since childhood. Now, without drama, let the hands tilt. Let the folder slide off and fall. You do not need to throw it. Originals do not fight with templates. They simply stop carrying them. And when your hands are empty, notice how strange and lit they feel. Those hands are about to be given something that was drawn for them alone. If you did it, if you actually let it fall, write 5 words below. I lay the template down. Because now I can tell you what the empty hands are for, and this is the revelation the whole first hour has been building toward. Everything so far has been about what you are, an unrepeated blueprint. But blueprints are not decorative. Nobody draws a blueprint for the pleasure of drawing. A blueprint exists because something is meant to be built from it. And if the blueprint has never been issued before, then listen carefully. Neither has the building. You are the first person in all of history God did this for, and here is the second half of that sentence, the half that turns wonder into weight. Because no one in history has ever had your design. No one in history has ever been able to do your assignment. Not one person. Every generation before you arrived without your exact key, and every generation after you will arrive too late for the doors you were timed to open. There is work on this earth, specific rooms, specific people, specific wounds in the world that have been waiting through all of human history for one particular combination to show up. The combination showed up the day you were born. Let me make that painfully practical. Somewhere, there is a person whose healing requires a very strange key. It requires someone who has survived what you survived, in the order you survived it, who speaks the way you speak, who carries mercy in the exact places you were broken, and who will be standing in their path at the hour they finally look up. History has produced exactly one candidate for that job. The pyramids had thousands of possible builders. Your assignment has one. When heaven looked for someone to send, it did not shortlist you. There was no list. And this is why your enemy has worked so patiently on you, chosen one. Think like a strategist for a moment. If a task could be done by any of 10,000 people, disabling one of them accomplishes nothing. The task simply routes to another. But if a task can be done by exactly one person in all of history, then that one person becomes the single point of failure for everything downstream of the task. You do not spend decades building disguises around a nobody. You do not park comparison, false templates, and precedent lies around a life unless that life is load-bearing. The scale of the resistance you have faced was never evidence of your weakness. It was intelligence about your assignment leaking backward into your story. Now hear the mercy hidden inside all this weight, because there is one more implication, and it may be the kindest sentence in this entire message. If no one in history has ever had your design, then no failure in history has any authority to predict you. None. Not the relative who tried something brave and was crushed, whose story your family retells as a warning. Not the statistics about people from your background, your diagnosis, your age bracket. Not even your own past attempts. Because every one of those attempts was made by a you who was still wearing the disguise, still carrying the folder, still measuring with borrowed rulers. The original has not failed at anything yet. The original has barely been allowed outside. Do you understand what that means? Every prediction of your future that is built on precedent is built on sand, because you are the case with no priors. The doctor of statistics can tell an average person their odds, because averages are made of repeated designs. You are not in the dataset. You have never been in the dataset. When people shake their heads and say, "We have seen how stories like yours end," they are bluffing without knowing it. Nobody has seen a story like yours. Yours has not been told yet. The first edition is still being written, and the author has not laid down the pen. I want you to feel the difference between two kinds of pressure, because this matters for how you carry your assignment. There is the pressure of competition, which says, others could do this, so you must prove you deserve it. That pressure is a counterfeit, and it produces the striving that has exhausted you. And there is the pressure of stewardship, which says, no one else can do this, so you must simply show up and be what you already are. That pressure does not exhaust, it clarifies. A courier carrying the only copy of a letter does not run faster than everyone else. He just refuses to hand the letter to anyone who is not its addressee, including his own fear. So let the assignment reframe your ordinary days. That conversation you keep feeling nudged toward. The thing you make that nobody asked for. The room you soften just by entering. These are not hobbies orbiting your real life while you wait for a grand calling to descend. For a design like yours, these may be the calling, arriving in work clothes. First editions rarely learn their purpose in advance. They learn it the way Bezalel did, by being named, being filled, and being handed one sacred task at a time, until the tabernacle stands and the whole desert understands why that one man had that strange blend of hands. Hold that thought about ordinary days, because it leads directly into the doubts I can already hear gathering in some of you. This is the point in every deep message where three particular voices rise up in the listener, and I refuse to leave them unanswered, because any one of them can quietly undo everything we have built in the last hour. Let me call them out, one at a time, to their faces. And there is one more dimension of your assignment that I cannot leave out, because it may be the part that finally makes the weight feel like wings. Firsts do not only accomplish tasks, firsts create categories. Before the first person crossed a given ocean, there was no such thing as crossing it, only drowning in it. The first crossing did more than move one boat. It moved the boundary of the word possible for everyone who came after. That is the strange generosity built into being unprecedented. You cannot walk your path without paving it. So let me show you a second picture of your future, different from the quiet morning I showed you earlier. This one is further out, and it is not about your comfort. It is about your wake. Somewhere in the years ahead of you, there is a young person you have not met yet. They carry their own unrepeated blueprint, their own strange cluster, their own ache of not matching, and they are sitting in their own dark, running the search you know so well, looking for one example, one proof that someone shaped like them ever made it out of the warehouse. And in that future, they find one. Not a celebrity, not a polished story from a stage. They find you. A person from their own bloodline, or their own town, or their own pew, who visibly stopped auditioning, laid down the borrowed template in full view of everyone, and lived original to the end. Watch their face in that moment. Watch what happens in the eyes of a young first edition when the archive finally returns a result. You know exactly what happens, because you know exactly what it would have meant to you. Here is the astonishing mathematics of it. The precedent lie told you that you needed an example to exist. The truth runs in precisely the opposite direction. You do not need a precedent. You are one. Every unborrowed act you perform is being written, whether you feel it or not, into the private archive of everyone watching your life. And one day, a person you love, or a person you never meet, will fund their bravest decision entirely out of what they saw you do. The permission you searched for and never found, you are now manufacturing for someone else. The chain of waiting breaks at you, or it does not break. Do not rush past what that means for the hard days. On the mornings when operating as an original feels costly, when the room goes quiet at your true no, when the beloved voice reaches for the old labels, you are not simply enduring awkwardness. You are performing ancestry. There are people in your future, and perhaps children in your bloodline not yet born, whose freedom is being quietly capitalized by every hour you refuse the crate. A first is never acting for one. A first is the opening move of a lineage, and lineages remember their opening moves forever. I want you to hold one image from this, just one, small enough to carry. Somewhere ahead of you stands a door you will one day walk through, doing the thing you were made for. And on the other side of that door, time works differently. And all of them are watching. The young person with the search, the children of your children, the child you were, hand in yours now, and the master from the workshop who drew the blueprint, knowing this exact door was in it. When you walk through it, none of them will be surprised. You were the only one who ever doubted the design, chosen one, and even your doubting was factored in and forgiven in advance, and it changed nothing about the outcome. The first voice is the skeptic, and it says something like this: these messages tell everyone they are special. That is the whole trick. Flattery at scale. I want to honor that voice, because it is trying to protect you from being fooled, and a person with your history has good reasons to guard the door. So, let us test the claim, instead of resenting it. If this message were flattery, it would have told you that you are better than other people. Go back through the last hour. I have never said that, and I never will, because it is not true. Being unrepeated is not a ranking. The claim of this message is stranger and colder than flattery. It is that you are unrepeatable in a way that carries obligation, that your failures have a mechanical explanation you can act on, and that specific work exists which will go undone if you stay in the crate. Flattery asks nothing. This message has already asked you to lay something down, to show a hidden feature to a witness, to change how you enter rooms. Flattery makes you feel finished. If anything, you feel summoned. Trust that difference. Sugar and medicine can look alike on the spoon, but only one of them costs you something going down. The second voice is older and wearier, and I have the most tenderness for it. It is the veteran, and it says, "I have heard beautiful spiritual messages for 20 years. I have cried at sermons and written in journals, and my circumstances are still my circumstances. Why would this be different?" Friend, if that is your voice, I need you to hear something almost no one will say from a stage. You are right. Hearing has not changed your life, and the reason is not that the messages were false. It is that hearing was never the operating step. For 20 years you have been receiving accurate descriptions of the treasure, while the treasure stayed crated, because descriptions do not open crates. Mechanisms do. Notice what was missing from those 20 years of beautiful moments. Nobody ever showed you the machinery, the template rejection, the precedent search, the false rulers, the disguise built in childhood. You cannot dismantle what has never been pointed out to you. A man can weep at 1,000 sermons about freedom while the specific lock on his specific door goes unexamined. This message has spent an hour on your locks. That is the difference. And there is one more difference coming, something physical, which is precisely for the veterans in the room, the ones whose souls said yes for decades, while something else kept not cooperating. Stay with me, because that part is almost here. And the third voice is the quietest, and it does the most damage. It says, maybe all of this is true, but look at the calendar. If I am a first edition, I am a damaged one. Too many wasted years. Too many wrong turns. The version of me that could have lived this message died somewhere in my 20s, or my 40s, or last year. God may not repeat designs, but he also cannot rewind clocks. Chosen one, let me take that voice apart with facts, and let me do it gently. First, the arithmetic of wasted years assumes you know what the years were for. You do not. Bezalel spent decades as a slave laborer before the day his name was called, and every skill the empire exploited became the exact skill the tabernacle required. Nothing in his bondage was wasted. It was training conducted in the dark. You have no idea, none, which of your so-called lost years were actually the workshop. Second, about damage. You are thinking of yourself as a manufactured item where damage is deviation from the factory standard and always subtracts value. But you now know you are not manufactured. In the world of singular works, history does not subtract value. It becomes part of the work. The crack in a famous bell, the weathering on an ancient door, the repaired seam that proves a thing was loved hard and kept anyway. Your scars are not deviations from your blueprint. At this point, they are your blueprint, part of the one and only issue of you, and heaven knew every one of them before it appointed you. And third, about the clock. Here is a fact about firsts that the calendar cannot argue with. A first is defined by what has never happened, not by when it happens. If no one in history has ever been you, then no one in history has ever been you at your exact age either. 60-year-old you is not a delayed version of 30-year-old you. 60-year-old you is another unprecedented thing the world has never once contained. The window for being the first of your kind cannot close while you are breathing, because every breath you take is being taken for the first time in history by your design. The unworthiness voice is not humility. It is the reprint disguise, pleading to stay on. There is one more thing the tired part of you deserves to hear before we cross into the strangest territory of this message. You may be wondering why, if all this is true, God allowed the dimming at all. Why would heaven draw an unrepeated blueprint and then let schools and survival and sorrow turn its lights down? I will not pretend to hand you the full answer. No honest teacher can. But I can hand you a pattern that runs through all of Scripture. The treasures of heaven routinely spend a season buried. Seed in soil, Joseph in Egypt, the infant church in an upper room with the doors locked. Burial, in the economy of God, has never once meant discarded. It means scheduled. Something about the pressure and the dark is doing work that daylight cannot do. And every buried thing in that book comes up on a timing that, in hindsight, was exact. You were not dimmed because heaven lost interest in its first edition. You were dimmed the way a master archives a work until the exhibition is built. And, chosen one, if you are hearing this message now, at this hour of your life, it may be worth asking why the archive door has suddenly come open. Before I open that door, pause with me for 10 seconds and check your own body, because your body has been listening to this message alongside your mind, and it usually knows things first. Notice your shoulders. Somewhere in the last hour, they probably came down from your ears. Notice your jaw, your breathing, the space behind your sternum where the old pressure lives. For many of you, there is a warmth there right now, or a looseness, or something that feels absurdly like homesickness in reverse, like being homesick and arriving home in the same moment. Do not analyze it. Just note it. That sensation is what it feels like when a nervous system hears its own specifications read aloud for the first time. And now, with your body soft and your hands still empty, I am going to keep the promise I made near the beginning. I told you there was a physical discovery, something researchers found decades ago, that explains the dimming of the brightest part of you in material terms. I told you one of those researchers received the highest honor in science. It is time. What I am about to describe is not spiritual metaphor. It happened in laboratories. It was published. It was honored. And once you hear it, the two halves of this message, the eternal and the physical, are going to snap together like a lock, meeting its key. Decades ago, researchers set out to answer a question that sounds almost childish. Where does genius come from? They took a test originally designed to identify the most inventive minds in highly advanced engineering programs, a test of what scientists call divergent thinking, the ability to see many possible answers instead of one, to connect things nobody thought to connect. And then somebody had the idea that changed everything. Instead of giving the test to engineers, they gave it to small children. The results were so extreme that the researchers struggled to believe them. Among 5-year-old children, nearly all of them, close to 98 in every 100, scored at what the scale defined as creative genius, not clever, not promising. Genius-level capacity for original thought. Then the researchers waited 5 years and tested the same children at age 10. The number had collapsed to roughly 3 in 10. By 15, it was around 1 in 10. And when the same instrument was applied to grown adults, the figure came back so low it reads like a misprint. Fewer than 1 adult in 1,000 still tested at the level that had been nearly universal in kindergarten. Sit with the direction of that curve, because it demolishes the story you have believed about yourself. We assume genius is rare because it is distributed rarely, sprinkled by heaven on a lucky few. The data says the opposite. Original brilliance is the factory condition of the human mind. It is not distributed, it is subtracted. Nearly every human being alive started with it, and something between the sandbox and the office park takes it away, systematically, on a schedule so reliable you can set a clock by it. The question is not why so few adults are geniuses. The question is, what is being done to the children? And the researchers were blunt about their answer. The collapse tracks schooling and socialization almost perfectly. The 5-year-old mind runs wide open, trying everything, connecting everything, asking the unashamed questions. Then it enters a world with one right answer per question, where mistakes cost approval, where sitting still is graded, where the strange connection earns laughter and the memorized answer earns gold stars. The mind learns what every mind under pressure learns: to shut down the expensive open searching and run the cheap approved routine. Add years of stress, and later survival itself, bills, dangers, disappointments, and the shutdown becomes a way of life. Now, here is where a second body of research enters, and this is the one that was crowned. In the middle of the last century, a neuropsychologist named Dr. Roger Sperry began studying patients whose 2 brain hemispheres had been surgically separated. His experiments revealed something that permanently changed our picture of the mind. The 2 halves of your brain are not redundant copies. They are 2 different kinds of genius. One side runs language, sequence, logic, the list maker, and the lawyer. The other runs pattern, imagery, music, intuition, the artist, and the navigator. In 1981, Sperry received the Nobel Prize for this work. And the detail that matters most for you is what his research implied about connection. The magic of the human mind was never in either hemisphere alone. It lives in the traffic between them, the constant millisecond conversation where logic hands a problem to imagination and imagination hands back a picture that logic could never have drawn. A 5-year-old runs that conversation at full volume all day long. That is why the childhood mind feels the way you remember it feeling: vivid, fast, surprising, alive. Every crayon drawing was a committee meeting of 2 geniuses. But the conversation between hemispheres is like any conversation. Under certain conditions, it gets quieter. Years of one right answer, schooling. Reward the logical side and teach the intuitive side to stay out of the way. Chronic stress is even more efficient because a mind in survival mode deliberately narrows. It drops wide open, searching as a luxury it cannot afford. The way a besieged city shuts down its concert halls and keeps only the rationing office running. Season after season, the crossing between your 2 minds carried less and less traffic, not because the road was torn away, because the road was starved. And this, chosen one, is the physical biography of your dimming. The brightness you can faintly remember from childhood was not your imagination. It was measured. You almost certainly sat somewhere near that 98%, running the full committee, both geniuses talking. And the grey, narrow, tired quality of your adult mind is not age and is not your design. It is what a starved crossing feels like from the inside. One genius still working, one genius on mute, and you, living in the thin signal between them, wondering where you went. Now hold your 2 histories side by side and watch them turn out to be one history, the spiritual story. A first edition learns in childhood that the original is unwelcome, builds the reprint disguise, and dims itself to survive. The physical story, a genius-level mind learns in childhood that open searching is punished, mutes half of its committee, and narrows itself to survive. Do you see it? They are the same event, described by a theologian and a neurologist. The crate the masterpiece was hidden in has an address in your own head. The dimmer switch is anatomical, which is why I can say to you, with more confidence than any preacher could manufacture, dimmed does not mean dead. Ask what actually happened to the muted hemisphere, to the starved crossing. Nothing removed it. No surgeon took it out. The committee room is intact. The second genius is still seated at the table, and the road between them is still mapped and waiting. Everything the swindle took from you, it took by disuse, and disuse is the one form of loss that is reversible by definition. What was never amputated can be reawakened. Hold on to that word, because the next part of this message is going to test how much you believe it. I want to be careful here, because I am not asking you to hate your teachers or your parents or the world that raised you. Most of the people who narrowed you were narrowed themselves by people who were narrowed before them. The swindle I am about to name runs so deep and so quiet that its agents almost never know they are working for it. Your mother, who told you to be realistic, was handing you the only survival kit she was ever given. The teacher who marked down your strangest answer was obeying a system that had already dimmed her own strangest answers into silence long ago. But understand what it cost you specifically, because you were not an average case. The dimming falls hardest on the brightest signals. A mind that was only slightly open loses only a little when it closes. But a design like yours, an unrepeated blueprint with an unusually loud conversation running between its two geniuses, had the most traffic to lose. The children who felt everything, who saw the connections nobody else saw, who asked the questions that made adults uncomfortable, those children did not lose a little brightness. They lost a world. And then they grew up and paid rent and answered messages, carrying, in the words of one researcher, a cathedral of capacity with only the janitor light left on. That is you. That has been you for years. A cathedral running on a janitor light, apologizing for being dim. And what breaks my heart, and what should quietly enrage you, is that you then took that dimness as data about your worth. You compared your janitor light to other lit-up lives and concluded you were a lesser building. You sat in prayer asking God why he made you so foggy, so scattered, so tired, while the switches for the great lamps sat unthrown a few feet over your head. You were never asking for something you lacked. You were grieving something you own. And now you are standing exactly at the middle of this message, and I planned it this way, because the middle is where I have to say the hardest sentence of the whole night. Everything you have learned so far, the templates, the rulers, the disguise, the dimming, all of it adds up to one conclusion that polite teaching refuses to draw. So, I will draw it plainly. What happened to you was not an accident, and it was not a phase of growing up. It was the great swindle of our lifetime. Think about what a swindle is. A theft that works by misdirection, where the victim never files a report because the victim never realizes anything was taken. That is precisely the crime. Nearly every child on this earth arrives carrying genius-level capacity and an unrepeated blueprint, and by adulthood, almost none still hold either one in working condition. The capacities were not lost. Losses of this size, on this schedule, across this many lives, are not losses. They are collections. And the collected goods did not vanish into nothing. They were converted into compliance, into predictability, into workers who fit molds, and consumers who buy what everyone buys, and believers who never ask the strange questions. The brightness of a whole civilization quietly harvested before its owners were old enough to defend it. You were robbed, chosen one, not damaged, robbed. And I need you to feel the difference between those two words, because your entire posture before God has been built on the wrong one. A damaged person asks for repair, humbly, tentatively, hoping grace might patch what they ruined. A robbed person does something entirely different. A robbed person files a claim. There is a promise in the book of Joel that most believers quote wrong, and the wrongness matters. God says, I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. Read it again slowly. Restore to you. That is not the language of charity. That is the language of an insurance settlement, of a court ordering stolen property returned to its rightful owner. God does not say, I will comfort you about the years. He says the years themselves are coming back, with their fruit, because they were eaten, not erased, and he knows exactly where every stolen thing is stored. So hear this clearly, because it changes how you pray tonight. Restoration in Scripture is a claim, not a request. You are not begging heaven for an upgrade. You are the documented owner of a bright, unrepeated, fully specified design, presenting the original title deed. When you come to God about your dimmed mind and your created gifts, you are not saying, "Please, give me something extra." You are saying, "Father, the record shows what you put in me at the beginning. I am here about the property." And I believe that if you could hear how heaven responds to that posture, it would sound something like this. "My child, I have been waiting for you to stop apologizing and start claiming. Every time you called yourself broken, I remembered what I made, and I grieved, not because you were wrong to hurt, but because you were mourning a treasure that was never lost, only buried by thieves on your own land. Nothing they took ever left my keeping. Bring me the deed. I have kept every year, every gift, and every watt of your first brightness, and I did not keep them as souvenirs. I kept them because I intend to return them. If something in you just stood up, seal it while it is standing. In the comments, write 4 words: I claim my restoration. Not I hope, not I wish, I claim. There is a legal firmness in that word that your soul has never been permitted to use about itself, and tonight the permission is issued. Now, do you remember the promise I made you almost an hour ago? I told you that near the middle of everything, I would show you what science found about where your brightness went, and I have kept half of that promise. You now know what was taken and how, but I deliberately left one thread hanging, and you may have noticed it swinging. I said, the way back is almost offensively simple. I have not yet told you what it is. Before I do, there is one more revelation in the cascade, the heaviest one, and it needs to come first, because it is about what happens when a first edition finally stands all the way up. Come with me to the strangest figure in the New Testament. He lives in the desert. He wears camel hair and eats locusts and wild honey. He baptizes in a river, which no one before him had done in the way he did it, as a single prophetic act demanded of an entire nation. His name is John, and I want you to see what he actually was before you see what he almost lost. There was no template for John the Baptist, none. He was born to a priest, which came with a ready-made mold, temple service, rotations, vestments, a respectable slot in an ancient system. He walked away from all of it into the wilderness. He belonged to no school of prophets, quoted no famous teacher as his master, held no office, and performed, Scripture says plainly, no miracles. Every existing category of holy man failed to contain him, and the officials came out demanding, "Who are you? Are you Elijah? Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No, and no, and no. I am a voice." That was all. A category of one. Ma, ah. And Jesus, who did not exaggerate, said of him, "Among those born of women there has arisen no one greater than John the Baptist." Stop and weigh that sentence. No one greater. Not Abraham, not Moses, not David, not Elijah. The man with no template, no office, no miracles, and no precedent received the highest commendation ever spoken over a human life by the one voice qualified to rank such things. Heaven, it turns out, does not measure by the molds. Heaven measures by faithfulness to the unrepeated assignment, and by that measure, the desert eccentric outranked the entire archive. But I did not bring you to John for the commendation. I brought you here for the prison, because there is a scene in his story that almost no one preaches, and it is the scene that belongs to you. John ends up in a dungeon, arrested for telling the truth to a king. And from that cell, the fearless voice of the wilderness sends his friends to Jesus with a question that should stop your heart. Are you the one who was to come, or should we expect someone else? Hear what is actually breaking in that question. This is the man who leapt in the womb at the approach of his Lord, the man who saw the Spirit descend like a dove and heard the voice from heaven. And in the dark, with the mission apparently failed and the crowds gone and death approaching, even he began to run the terrible audit. Did I read it wrong? Was I actually what I thought I was? The greatest born of women sat in the dark and questioned his own commissioning. Which brings me to the deepest wound in you, the one every revelation tonight has been circling. Let me name its symptom without anesthesia. Somewhere under all your functioning, beneath the job and the smiles and even the faith, you carry a private verdict about yourself, arrived at long ago in your own dungeon hours. The verdict says, something in me is defective, not my circumstances. Me. The core unit, and you have never said it out loud in exactly those words, but every self-improvement project you have ever launched has been an appeal against that verdict, and every failed template has felt like the appeal being denied. You believe that verdict because it seems supported by a lifetime of evidence, not matching, always outside, bright things dying in your hands. But watch closely now, because we are going to re-examine the evidence with everything you have learned tonight. And this is the moment the whole cascade converges. Every single exhibit in the case against you assumed one thing, that you were supposed to be a copy. Judged as a copy, you are in fact defective. You copy poorly, you conform badly. Your results deviate from template in every direction. The court was competent, the evidence was accurate, and the entire trial was invalid, because the item before the bench was never a copy. You cannot fail a specification that was never yours. The verdict was not too harsh. It was a category error from its first word to its last. There has only ever been one court with jurisdiction over an unrepeated work, and that court issued its finding before you were born. I knew you. I formed you. I set you apart. That ruling has never been overturned, appealed, or amended, and no earthly bench, including the one inside your own head, has standing to touch it. John in the dungeon received his answer from Jesus, and it is your answer too. Go and report what you see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, the poor have good news preached to them. In other words, do not audit your commissioning by your circumstances. Audit it by what happens around your life when you are simply what you are. By that audit, chosen one, the evidence was never against you. You have been acquitted for eternity by the only judge that exists. The mold you kept failing to match was never your specification, and tonight the case is closed. If those words reach the room in you where the verdict has been stored all these years, do something brave. Write 4 words in the comments. The mold is broken. Write it as a legal notice to every voice that graded you as a copy, including your own. Some of you will feel years of pressure leave your body as you type it. That is not imagination. That is an acquitted person exhaling for the first time. And because a verdict this old will try to reinstate itself, I am handing you a practice to keep the case closed. It takes 3 minutes and a piece of paper. Tonight, before you sleep, write down the 3 pieces of evidence your inner prosecutor uses most. The 3 memories or traits it always cites to prove you are defective. Look at each one and write a single question beside it. Defective compared to what specification? Then answer honestly. Every time you will find the same thing. The evidence only convicts you of failing to be someone you were never designed to be. Do this once with ink, and your prosecutor loses its 3 favorite exhibits forever. The next time it stands up in your head, you will not have to argue. You will simply say, "We have reviewed that evidence," and the court lacked jurisdiction. Acquitted people do not have to win the old argument again every day. They just keep the ruling on file. And now, one question remains, and if you have been paying close attention, you can already feel its shape. It is the question the veteran asked earlier, and the question John himself would ask. If all of this is true, why does knowing it not automatically light the cathedral? You have understood everything. Understanding is real, but you have understood things before, in other bright moments, and watched the understanding fade by Thursday. Why does insight keep evaporating? Why does the acquitted prisoner keep waking up back in the cell? The answer is not in your theology, and it is not in your willpower. It is in the one place we have not gone yet, and we go there now. Here is the plain truth, stated as simply as I can state it. Everything we have named tonight, the disguise, the rulers, the verdict, lives in you as habit, and habit lives in the physical brain. For decades, your mind has run the narrow survival pattern, the muted committee, the starved crossing between your 2 hemispheres. Pathways that fire for decades become the path of least resistance, which means that even after a night like tonight, even after real revelation, your brain will tend to slide back into its dimmed configuration by default, not because you are weak, but because that is what long-practiced roads do. They carry the traffic. So the missing piece has 3 parts. The why, your dimming was installed physically through years of repetition, so it cannot be fully uninstalled by insight alone, any more than a path worn through a field can be removed by disagreeing with it. The what, the crossing between your hemispheres must be physically retrained, reopened by something that works at the level where the dimming actually lives, beneath conscious effort, in the same deep machinery where childhood installed it. And the who. This is for the person who has done everything insight can do, who has prayed sincerely and understood deeply, and still feels the janitor light flicker back on every Monday. If that is you, what you need next is not another revelation. It is a tool that reaches where revelations cannot. That person you have been is real. That person is not who you have to remain. Now that you know what has been holding the dimmer down, what will you do with your hands? You are the chosen one this next part was kept for. So let me tell you about a doctor in New York City, because his story is where the offensively simple answer lives. His name is Dr. Daniel Barone, and he is a neurologist, a physician of the brain, the kind of man who spends his days reading scans and listening to people describe fog from the inside. Some years ago, a patient sat across from him, a successful, intelligent, exhausted woman, and said the sentence he had heard in 100 variations. "Doctor, my scans are clean, my labs are normal, and I am telling you, my mind is not what it was. It feels like a whole wing of me went dark, and everyone keeps telling me nothing is wrong." He believed her. That was the unusual part. Instead of sending her home with reassurance, he went looking for the wing. The search took him back to the research we walked through together, the collapse of childhood genius and the Nobel-honored discoveries of Dr. Roger Sperry about the 2 hemispheres and the conversation between them. And Dr. Barone and the team he works with became convinced that this was the wing that goes dark, not one side of the brain dying, but the crossing between the sides going quiet after decades of narrow, stressed, survival-driven living. The question that consumed them was practical. If years of repetition starved the crossing, could something retrain it, deliberately, without surgery, without chemicals, without asking an exhausted person for heroic effort? The answer they arrived at, after years of work, is a method they call neural sync technology. Here is the idea in one breath. Your brain takes its rhythm from what it listens to, the way feet fall into step with a drum beat without being told to. Their team built a precisely structured sequence of sound, engineered so that listening to it invites the two hemispheres back into step with each other, coaxing the old crossing open again, gently, from the inside out. They call the result whole brain activation. Both sides of the committee, seated, talking, on speaking terms again. Not a new brain, your original one, reporting for duty. And they refined the whole method down to a form so humble it is almost anticlimactic. 8 minutes of listening. That was the design goal. One targeted auditory sequence, short enough that the most depleted person alive could actually do it. It is called the genius switch, and the name is not marketing bravado, it is a description of the janitor light problem. The great lamps were never removed. What was missing was the switch. Let me tell you how it works in practice, because the simplicity matters theologically, and I will come back to that. You put on headphones, because the sequence feeds each ear separately, and the separation is the point. You close your eyes. You listen for 8 minutes, once a day. That is the entire protocol. You do not need to meditate, repeat phrases, hold intentions, or feel anything on schedule. The work happens beneath your awareness, in the same underground rooms where the dimming was installed. And if you miss a day, nothing collapses. You simply return the next day. It was built for tired people by a man who treats tired people. Does it move the needle? Listen to 2 stories from among the people who have used it, and notice whose stories they are. A woman from California, a nurse, the kind of person who spends every shift pouring out and driving home empty. She said that for years life was happening to her through a pane of fog, and that she had tried nearly everything the wellness world sells. About 10 days into the 8-minute practice, she said, something cleared, her word. Like a channel that had been blocked was suddenly open, and the stress that used to sit invisibly on everything simply was not there. And her marriage, of all things, was the first place other people noticed. And a man from Texas, a business owner, a father of 2, carrying a payroll and a family, on what he now realizes was half a working mind. He said prayer had started to feel like talking into a wall, not because his faith failed, but because the fog swallowed everything. A couple of weeks in, he described it this way: the fog had been so constant that I had stopped registering it as fog. Then, one morning, it was gone, and my mind was running on all its cylinders, and I realized what I had been navigating around for 20 years. That is what the team around Dr. Barone spent those years building. They are 2 voices out of more than 18,000. 18,456 everyday Americans. At last count, nurses and mechanics and grandmothers and pastors, people who were never going to fly to a specialist in New York City, quietly running their 8 minutes a day. I tell you the number, not to impress you, but to normalize this. You would not be an experiment. You would be walking a road that has been resurfaced by thousands of ordinary feet. But I want to say something honest, and I want to say it carefully. This is not for everyone. It is genuinely not. If a person is content with the janitor light, if the dimness never grieved them, if they have never stood in their own kitchen mourning a brightness they could not name, then 8 minutes of sound will be a curiosity to them and nothing more. The genius switch is for the one who recognized themselves tonight, the one who carried the 5 marks, the one who typed the mold is broken with their eyes stinging. It was built, in the deepest sense, for the first edition that has been living as a reprint, and if that is you, you already know it is you. Now, let me tell you what it costs, and let me tell you the story of the cost, because the story is unusual. When colleagues of Dr. Barone saw what the sequence was doing for patients, several told him plainly that a tool like this, built on years of work, could be offered at $500 and would be worth it, especially when a single in-office session with a specialist runs into hundreds, and the machines that attempt similar retraining cost thousands to put in a home. He refused that path. His stated reason, and everything about the man supports it, was that the people who need this most are precisely the people who cannot fly to New York or write checks with 3 zeros. Fog does not discriminate by income, so the answer could not either. The official price became $49. One session with almost any specialist costs more. And then there is one more step down, and it is the reason I mentioned timing. Through the page connected to this message, in the description below and in the pinned comment, the sequence is currently available for $39, $10 under its own official price. $39 for the tool this entire message has been walking toward. That is a family dinner. That is the cost of the takeout you will forget by Friday, exchanged for a switch you have been living without for decades. They also refuse to send it out alone. 4 companions come with it, free. A guided visualization recorded by one of the most loved voices on the biggest calm and rest application in the world, walking you through your restored life in 4 rooms: money, love, health, and happiness. A smart grocery guide naming 10 common American foods that quietly thicken brain fog, plus shopping shortcuts that typically save families more than $100 a month at the stores you already visit. A classic book on attracting provision, more than a century old, the root from which most modern teachings quietly borrowed, usually sold on its own for $20. And a beautifully designed guide to the 5 daily habits that most reliably build an ideal future, made to be printed and hung where your morning can see it. And over all of it stands the promise that removes the last excuse. A 100% ironclad money-back guarantee, not a trial period with fine print teeth. If you use the sequence and decide, for any reason at all, or for no reason you can articulate, that it is not for you, every cent returns to you, even if you have listened 100 times. Sit with what that means. The maker of this tool has arranged things so that the only person carrying risk in this exchange is him. The dimmed years were expensive. Finding out whether they can end costs nothing that stays spent. One caution, spoken plainly. The $39 door is described as temporary, and I have no reason to doubt it. Prices like this get revisited, and nobody owes you tomorrow what was offered today. I will not manufacture a countdown, there is none. But if you feel the leaning, do not outsource the decision to some future version of you who may find a different number on the page. And a second caution that matters more. Because names travel, there are recordings floating around large audio libraries and marketplaces wearing similar labels, genius sounds, brain-unlocking tracks, and the barrier to printing such a label is 0. The team studied some of these. Most contain nothing of the actual method. The Genius Switch exists in exactly one place, the official page, and the only door I can vouch for is the one in the description and pinned comment under this message. If you go through that door. I am not going to pressure you beyond that, because pressure is the language of salesmen, and this is not that. I will only say it the way I would say it to a friend at my kitchen table. If your spirit has been leaning forward for the last several minutes, trust the leaning. You have spent your whole life talking yourself out of things that were meant for you, waiting for precedent, waiting for permission. You now know where that reflex came from. It does not get a vote tonight. And if some part of you still asks, can I trust this? Consider what is actually holding the weight. A physician put his real name, his license, and his reputation in front of this work. Men who read brain scans for a living do not casually attach themselves to nonsense, because unlike anonymous voices on the internet, they have everything to lose. The research it stands on carried a Nobel Prize. The guarantee removes your financial risk entirely. At some point, the reasons to hesitate stop being reasons and reveal themselves as the old disguise, negotiating to stay. Still, let me answer the 3 questions I know are in the room, because they deserve answers, not slogans. First, I have tried things like this before, soundtracks, meditations, and nothing changed. I understand, and so does the team behind this. Most of what circulates addresses only the surface of hearing, a pleasant noise laid on top of an unchanged mind. What is described here is a different category, a sequence engineered around hemisphere synchronization. The specific crossings Sperry mapped and difference of mechanism is why past disappointments predict nothing here. Remember the deeper law you learned tonight. You are the case with no priors, and so is this. Second, $39 is real money for me. It is, and I refuse to shame anyone about a budget. Weigh it honestly, though, against the running cost of the fog, the opportunities not seen, the work done at half signal, the years of buying small comforts to survive a dimness this was built to address. And weigh in the guarantee. Money that returns on request is not spent, it is parked. Third, I do not have time for anything new. The whole protocol is 8 minutes with your eyes closed. You have 8 minutes while the coffee brews, while the bath fills, in the car before you walk into work. If 8 minutes truly cannot be found, then the problem was never time, and you know it. The calendar is not the gatekeeper. The verdict is, and the verdict, as of tonight, is overturned. So here is where I leave it. The door is in the description and in the pinned comment. Behind it, the 8-minute sequence, the 4 companions, and a promise that makes trying it weightless. You were robbed at the level of the brain and lied to at the level of the soul, and tonight, both thefts were exposed in the same hour. What you do in the next few minutes is between you and the God who drew your blueprint. I have seen what happens when first editions get their switch back, and I would not have spent this hour with you if I did not want that for you specifically. Now set all of that down for a while, because the tool was never the destination, and the remainder of this message belongs entirely to your soul. There is more I was sent to give you tonight, and the deepest piece is still ahead. Let me begin the descent home with a true kind of story, the kind I collect about a man I will not name, because his story is still being lived about an hour outside Cleveland. He was 54 when the plant consolidated and his position evaporated. 22 years of loyalty converted into a cardboard box and a handshake. And he did what responsible men are trained to do. He became a template machine, rewrote the resume the recommended way, applied the recommended way, followed up the recommended number of days later, hundreds of times, for 14 months, while his savings drained and his prayers dried into a single repeated word, which was, please. The turn came on an ordinary Tuesday, in a way no strategy book would ever endorse. His granddaughter broke the neck of her second-hand violin, and because money was gone, he repaired it himself at the kitchen table, slowly, the way his own grandfather had once taught him, a skill he had filed away for 40 years as useless. He later said that for those 3 hours the fog lifted and he felt, and this is his exact phrase, like myself, for the first time since the 70s. So he did a small, unreasonable, faithful thing. He told God, out loud, alone in the garage, if this is the part of me you kept, I will stop hiding it. And he put a 2-line notice on the community board at his church. I repair stringed instruments. Pay what you can. What happened next is the part I need you to hear with everything you learned tonight still warm in you. A retired music teacher brought him a viola, then told a friend who ran a school program across town. Within a season, his garage had a waiting list, families who could pay nothing and families who paid triple without being asked, and a luthier 2 towns over, overloaded and aging, looking for exactly one careful man to take his overflow. 14 months of perfect templates had produced nothing. 6 weeks of operating his actual blueprint produced a living, and something the man values more, which is the sensation, every single morning, of being spent on what he was minted for. Notice, please, that heaven did not drop a miracle on him from the sky. The miracle was in inventory the whole time, filed under useless, wearing 40 years of dust. His provision was hidden inside the very feature of himself he had been taught to consider irrelevant. I have watched this pattern too many times to call it coincidence, and I want to say it to you as directly as I can. The thing you have written off as your most impractical quality may be the room where your next season is stored. God hides inheritances inside the features the world talks us out of, because it is the one vault no thief thinks to check. You may be wondering why I am telling you this now, after everything. Here is why. Because knowledge decays and stories do not. A year from now, you may not remember the 5 steps of any machinery I named tonight, but you will remember the man in the garage, and some Tuesday when your own life consolidates you into a cardboard box, that memory will stand up in you and ask one question: what have I filed under useless? Let his story be a seed in you tonight. Water it by answering that question in writing before this week ends. 3 things you do, or love, or notice, that the template's called irrelevant. Just list them. You do not have to know yet what they are for. Bezalel did not know either, right up until the day his name was called out loud. And there is someone else who needs this message, and you know their face already. Somewhere in the last 2 hours, while I was describing the marks, the disguise, the dimming, a specific person surfaced in your mind, and you thought, this is them. This is exactly them. That surfacing was not random. First editions are usually found by other first editions, the way one violin recognizes another across a room of drums. So do the simple, holy thing. Send this message to that person, with no explanation, except one sentence. This found me, and it sounded like you. You may be the only courier their crate will ever get. Do not rush past this next part, because we are about to go somewhere that requires unhurried hands. Before this message ends, I am going to speak something directly over your life, a blessing with your true name in it, the name I promised you in the very first minutes, and I am going to keep that promise. But a name can only be received by hands that are not clenched, and there is one more clenched place in you that we have not opened. It is not about templates or rulers, or even the verdict. It is older than all of them. It is between you and the child who built the disguise. That meeting is next, and it is the real reason this message found you tonight. But before that meeting, let me put your inheritance in order, because tonight cannot remain an experience. Experiences evaporate. Equipment stays. So here is the equipment, 4 small practices, none longer than a few minutes, which together form the daily kit of a first edition. Do not treat these as suggestions in the air. Treat them as the maintenance schedule of the rarest object you will ever be responsible for. The first practice you already received, and I am formalizing it now. The 2 words before your feet touch the floor: first edition, spoken into the dark as fact, every morning for the next 7 days, and, I hope, long after. This is not positive thinking. Positive thinking tries to persuade. You are not persuading. You are labeling correctly for the first time. N. The entire day that follows gets sorted differently by those who know what they are. The way a museum handles a piece differently the moment the appraisal comes back. 2 seconds, 2 words, and the label is on before the world can slap its own sticker over it. The second practice is the wrong ruler correction, and it guards your eyes. Comparison will still arrive tomorrow, in the feed, in the parking lot, at the family table. You will not stop it from knocking. Your practice is at the door. The instant you feel the shrink beginning, the measuring, you say 2 words, wrong ruler, and you physically redirect your eyes to something you are currently building, even for 5 minutes. The words interrupt the false arithmetic. The 5 minutes of occupancy replace it. Watchers wither, occupants grow. Run this correction 10 times a week, and within a month, the sideways glance will have lost its teeth. The third practice is 1 unborrowed act per day. Once a day, deliberately, do one thing in your own native way instead of the template way. Pray walking if the kneeling template never fit you. Write the message in your real voice instead of the professional costume. Cook without the recipe. Ask your strange question in the meeting. Take the route that pulls you. The act can be tiny. Its size does not matter because its function is not achievement. Its function is testimony. Every unborrowed act is a deposition, sworn daily, that the original has come out of storage, and your own nervous system is the jury that needs to hear it most. And the fourth practice is the useless inventory. Once a week, add to that list you started tonight the features of you the templates called irrelevant. Keep it somewhere you can see it grow. This list is your Bezalel file, the skills and sensitivities that no job description has a field for. And if the man in the garage teaches anything, it is that provision loves to arrive through precisely these doors. Review the file weekly and ask one question over it. Which of these has been knocking lately? You will be shocked within a season at what starts applying for work. Morning label, wrong ruler, 1 unborrowed act, the weekly file. That is the whole kit, and none of it requires talent, money, or a good week. It requires only what you now have and can never fully lose again, which is accurate information about what you are. Somebody should have handed you this kit when you were 7 years old. Nobody could, because nobody knew. Now you know, and the kit is yours, and it would be a holy thing if it did not stop with you. Because you are not the only first edition in your bloodline, chosen one. Think of the children in your world, yours or your family circle, still up near that 98%, still running both geniuses at full volume, their committee rooms bright and loud, and already, this year, the sanding has begun. You cannot rebuild the whole school system by Friday, but you can be one adult in one child life who says the sentence you needed and never got. You are not too much. You were made on purpose, exactly once. A sentence like that, planted at 7, can save somebody 40 years of warehouse dust. Say it this week. You know which child. And for your own restoration, remember that understanding and retraining are 2 different works, and you now hold tools for both. The kit I just gave you retrains the soul, and for the physical crossing, the starved road between your 2 minds, there remains the 8-minute door we spoke of earlier. I will mention it only once more and gently, because gentleness is what it deserves. If your spirit said yes an hour ago and your hands have not moved yet, that is the old reflex, not wisdom. The genius switch waits in the description and pinned comment. The guarantee carries all the risk, and 8 minutes tomorrow morning is a very small door for a cathedral to walk through. Whether you take that door tonight, next month, or never, the kit is still yours, and the truth of what you are does not expire. One more piece of equipment before we go into the deep room, and this one is not a practice but a warning, issued in love. When you begin operating as an original, the world that liked you created will notice. Some people will celebrate, a few will not, because your unedited existence quietly indicts their own warehouse. Expect at least one voice, possibly a beloved one, to reach for the old labels, too much, unrealistic. Who do you think you are? Do not argue, and do not shrink. Arguing hands them the ruler. Simply remember, that the discomfort of others was the original funding of your disguise, and you are no longer accepting that currency. You can love people deeply and refuse to be regraded by them. That refusal, gentle and total, is what maturity looks like on a first edition. And expect resistance from inside as well. There will be a morning, likely within this very week, when the whole night feels overheated, when the old grey voice says none of that was real, life is ordinary, get dressed. Prepare for that morning now, while the light is still on you. Nothing that happened tonight depends on how tonight feels next Thursday. The research will still be published. The verbs will still be in the text. The verdict will still be overturned. Feelings are weather. What you learned is architecture, and architecture does not blow away because a grey front moved through. When that morning comes, say your 2 words into the dark anyway. Labels hold in all weather. There is one more tool I want to slip into the kit before we descend, a small one for the end of each day, because mornings have their label now, but nights are when the old machinery does its quietest work. Unexamined evenings are where disguises get re-sewn. So, each night this week, while the kettle cools or the lamps go out, hold 3 short questions over the day. They take 90 seconds in total, and they will save you years. First question: where did I operate as the original today? Find one moment, however small, the true sentence you said, the wrong ruler you caught mid-swing, the strange idea you wrote down instead of swallowing. Name it and enjoy it for a breath. What gets witnessed gets repeated, and you are now the primary witness of your own uncrating. Second question: where did the disguise take the wheel today? Again, one moment, named without punishment. The performance in the meeting, the shrunken opinion at dinner. You are not scolding. You are mapping. A driver who knows exactly where the road ice is over does not need to fear winter. And by Friday you will know your 3 iciest corners by heart. And third question: what did I notice today that only my design would have noticed? This is the beautiful one. Every day, your particular blueprint registers things no other design on earth would have caught. The pattern in the conversation, the sorrow behind the joke, the idea standing quietly at the edge of an ordinary task. Most people let these notices die unrecorded. Yours go in the file now. They are not trivia. They are your instrument picking up the piece of music it was tuned for. 1 bar at a time. Label in the morning, 3 questions at night, and the day between them held by a marked chest and open hands. Do you see what has happened in the last 2 hours? Chosen one. You arrived with a diagnosis you could not name, and you now hold an entire operating manual, written for a machine of which exactly one was ever built. Nobody on this earth has ever been handed your manual before, because before tonight it had never been assembled. Even this message became a small first in your honor. And if this night has genuinely been that for you, if something got named or lifted or handed back in these 2 hours, then before we go into the deep room, honor it in the simplest way this place allows. Press the like beneath this message and let it stand as your quiet Amen. I do not ask twice for such things, and I ask now only because messages travel to the dimmed by exactly these small signals. And somewhere out there tonight is a person with your same ache, 5 years behind you on the road, praying in the dark for something they do not have words for yet. Your one tap is part of how the words reach them. Before we enter the last room of this night, there is a question I have left deliberately unanswered, and I can feel some of you still holding it. It is the question of timing. Why is this happening now? You have been dimmed for decades. The blueprint has been in the vault since before your birth. If God wanted the original in circulation, why did this message find you tonight, at this age, in this exact season, and not 15 years ago, when the dreams were louder and the knees were better. I will not pretend to read the private calendar of heaven, but I can tell you what I have observed over and over about how hiding seasons end, because they do not end randomly and they do not end quietly. There are signs, 3 of them, and I want you to check your recent life against each one, because I suspect you will find the check marks already in place. The first sign is that the old anesthetics stop working. The comforts that used to make the crated life bearable, the shows, the snacks, the scrolling, the busy weekends, begin to feel strangely thin, like water where there used to be wine. You still use them, but they no longer quite reach the ache. Most people read this as depression settling in. It is often the opposite. It is the soul turning up the sensitivity ahead of a move, the way a mother wakes more easily in the last weeks before birth. Comfort resists change, so the season strips comfort first. The second sign is a rise in what I can only call collisions. Messages like this one arriving unrequested. Conversations that turn, without warning, toward the exact wound you never mention. A stranger using the precise phrase, "You prayed alone," the book falling open, the memory resurfacing, the child asking the question that stops your breath. Individually, each collision is dismissible, and the dimmed mind dismisses them by reflex. But collisions in clusters are not chance. They are the sound of an approach, the footsteps of something scheduled arriving on schedule. Count your last 90 days honestly. This message itself is a collision, and you know it was not the first. And the third sign is the strangest and the most tender. Somewhere recently, hope started hurting again. For years, the dreams sat behind glass where they could not reach you, and there was a bleak kind of peace in that. But lately, something has been pressing on the glass. You catch yourself imagining again, and it stings, the way blood stings returning to a leg that fell asleep. You may have even resented it. "Why is this waking up now?" you asked. "I had made my peace." Chosen one, nothing in the kingdom wakes up for no reason. Circulation returns to limbs that are about to be asked to walk. Anesthetics thinning, collisions clustering, hope aching. If you found all 3 in your recent life, and I believe most of you did, then let me say plainly what they add up to. Your hiding season has an expiration written on it, and the ink is current. Scripture is unashamed of this kind of timing. There is a Greek word for it, kairos, the appointed moment, different from ordinary clock time, the way a wedding day differs from a Tuesday. Tonight is not information that wandered to you. It is information that was scheduled for the season when you could finally survive hearing it. 15 years ago, the disguise was still load-bearing. It is not anymore. That is why, now. And if that lands in your spirit with the weight of recognition, mark it in the record. In the comments, write 4 words. My season has shifted. Write it even if your hands shake a little, especially if they do, because seasons that get named out loud become seasons the whole soul agrees to enter. And there are agreements that only your own voice can sign. One caution as you cross this threshold, and then we go in. A shifted season is an opened gate, not a moving walkway. Nothing about kairos removes your part. The 2 words in the morning, the unborrowed acts, the 8 minutes if you chose that door, the showing of one true feature to one safe witness. The gate opens, the walking is still walking, but there is all the difference in the world between walking against a locked gate, which is what the last decades often felt like, and walking through an open one, which is what this week can be. The resistance you remember is not the resistance you will meet. Test it and see. Now bring everything with you. The name half heard, the mark, the file, the shifted season, because the last room of this night is the one all the others were preparing you for. And someone very small has been waiting in it for a very long time. Now the deep room. If you are driving, just listen and let the images wait for you tonight. But if you are somewhere still, somewhere with a door that closes, I want you to actually do this with me, slowly, because this is the part of tonight that your body will remember after your mind has filed everything else away. Let your breathing lengthen, not forced, just noticed. And let me tell you who we are going to meet. Somewhere in the architecture of your memory there is a room that has been kept exactly as it was, the way families keep the bedroom of someone who left. In that room is the child you were before the crating began, the one who said the strange, wonderful things at full volume, the one who had not yet learned that the original was unwelcome. You have not made eye contact with that child in a very long time, because some part of you believes that what you did to them was a betrayal, and shame does not like eye contact. See the room now. It does not matter whether you see it sharply or only sense it. There is light coming in from somewhere, and the small artifacts of your true first loves are scattered around. The drawings or the collections, the costumes or the dismantled machines, whatever your originality looked like before it went underground. And there, in the middle of it, small and vivid, is the child. They are not angry. Notice that first, because you expected anger. They have simply been waiting, with the terrible patience of children, for someone to come back and explain. Walk closer. Sit down at their level, the way the safe adults did, if you had any. And now, say to that child what you came to say. Say, I know what you did. You built the disguise. You made us smaller so we could survive. And it worked. And I am here because it worked. Nobody ever thanked you for that. So I am thanking you now. You were not weak. You were the bravest thing that ever happened to us. And then say the harder part. Say, I am also here to tell you the emergency is over. You have been holding the crate shut for all these years, still on duty, still guarding, because nobody ever relieved the watch. I am relieving you now. You do not have to hold it anymore. I am grown, and I know what we are now, and I will carry the original from here. Watch what happens in the face of the child when the watch is finally relieved. Watch the shoulders of a 7-year-old come down from a war footing they have held for decades. That release you feel spreading through your own chest right now, that warmth behind the sternum where the pressure used to live, that is not a technique working. That is a reunion. And before you leave that room, there is a third voice that wants to speak in it, and it is not yours and not the child. It is the voice that was there the whole time, in the corner of every scene of your life, the one witness who never once looked away. Let the framing of my words fall off entirely now, and hear it. My child, I was there the day you decided to hide, and I want you to know that I did not turn my face away in disappointment. I watched you build the disguise with the materials you had, and my heart broke with pride and grief at once, because you were protecting the very thing I had placed in you. I never lost sight of the original. Not for 1 hour. I have been reading you in the original language all along. Every year they graded the copy. And I am telling you now, as the one who drew you, the hiding season is complete. I did not make you first of your kind, so you could finish as one of theirs. Come out, where I can enjoy you. Stay there for one more breath. Then take the hand of the child, because they come with you now. They do not stay in the room, and step back out into your evening. The room does not get sealed again. That door stays open for the rest of your life, and you can go back any time the disguise starts reassembling itself. Any time some Thursday voice tells you the original was a fantasy. The child knows better. The child was there. The witness knows better. The witness never left. If your face is wet right now, or your chest is doing that thing it does when something too true gets said, do not be embarrassed, and above all, do not rush back to composure. Composure is where feelings go to be created. You were promised, in the first minutes of this message, that you would not only understand tonight but feel something release. This is that. The exhaustion of the audition ending, the watch relieved. The original held, in the only pair of eyes whose review of you was ever valid. Let it be as big as it actually is. Nobody is watching you except the one who made you, and he has seen you cry before, chosen one. He kept every one of those too. Now, while everything in you is soft and open, I am going to give you the activation, the one piece of tonight designed to be carried in your body rather than your mind. This will take about 2 minutes. It has 4 movements, and when it is done, you will have something no one can confiscate, a physical anchor for everything you have learned. Sit or stand with your spine comfortable and let your hands rest somewhere easy. First, the instruction. I want you to bring to mind all at once the whole cargo of tonight. The verbs spoken over you before your birth. The blueprint drawn once and never reissued. The child who guarded it. The verdict overturned. Do not review these as separate items. Let them compress into a single weight, the way an entire friendship can compress into one glance. Feel how much was given to you in these 2 hours. Hold all of it loosely in your attention, the way you would hold a filled cup while walking. Second, the image. Now see, in the theater behind your closed eyes, a workshop before dawn. It is the workshop of a master, quiet, warm, smelling of wood and oil and rain, about to arrive. On the far bench, there is one work covered by a plain cloth, and you already know what it is. Watch the master cross the room, not hurrying, and take the cloth in his hands and draw it off in one motion. See the work revealed. Do not decide what it looks like. Let it show you. Some of you will see an instrument, some a carving, some simply a shape of light, and whatever appears, notice this above everything. Nothing else in the workshop looks anything like it. The master does not glance at any plan on the wall, because there is no plan on the wall. There never was. The plan is standing in front of him, finished, singular, and, watch his face now, entirely approved. Third, the reframe, and say this part inwardly with me, slowly, as the master looks at the work. That is not a picture of what I might become. That is a report of what I already am, beneath the cloth. The unveiling I just watched is not scheduled for some distant, worthy future. It began tonight, in this room, when the watch was relieved and the folder fell from my hands. I am not a project awaiting approval. I am a finished, original entering service. The only thing that was ever unfinished was the hiding. And fourth, the anchor. Bring your right hand up and place 2 fingers flat against your chest, just beneath the left collarbone, over the high corner of your heart. Press gently. This is the spot where craftsmen of old struck their mark, the maker mark, the small pressed seal that said one thing to everyone who would ever handle the work. This came from my hands, and I answer for it. Feel the warmth gather under your fingers, and let these words settle into that exact spot. Marked once, made once, answered for. From this night on, that place under your left collarbone belongs to the maker mark. Anytime the disguise begins to reassemble, anytime a room full of drums starts grading you, anytime the grey Thursday voice speaks, you will not need to remember 2 hours of teaching. You will only need to touch 2 fingers to that spot, and the entire cargo, the verb, the blueprint, the child, the verdict, the workshop, will report for duty in a single second. Your body is now carrying the message. Bodies do not forget where they have been sealed. Take one long breath and come all the way back into the room, into this hour of your one unrepeated life. The activation is complete, and I want to tell you what to expect from it, because anchors grow stronger with use. like paths walked daily. The first few times you touch the mark, you may feel only an echo of tonight. Touch it anyway. By the 10th time, the echo becomes a chord. By the 40th, the gesture will move your inner state faster than any argument, and you will understand why the ancients built so much of their faith into the body, into oil and water and bread, and the laying on of hands. The soul believes what the body rehearses. And now, because I promised you a path and not just an experience, let me walk you through your first week as an operating original, day by day, so that when tomorrow arrives with its ordinary face, you will know exactly what to do with it. Do not be intimidated by the structure. Each day asks minutes, not hours. The week is not a test you can fail. It is a bridge with 7 planks, and you only ever have to stand on one of them at a time. Day 1 is consecration day, and it is deliberately tiny. Before your feet touch the floor, the 2 words, first edition. Before you leave the house, 2 fingers to the maker mark under your left collarbone, 5 seconds, nothing more. And once during the day, 1 unborrowed act, chosen in advance tonight so you do not have to improvise. That is the whole day. 3 touches. You are not trying to transform anything on day 1. You are laying the first plank and proving to your nervous system that the bridge is real. Day 2 is Eyes Day. Your single assignment is the wrong ruler correction, hunted deliberately. You will probably need it within an hour of waking. Feeds, colleagues, siblings, strangers in traffic who seem to have easier lives. Each time the measuring starts, 2 words, wrong ruler, and 5 minutes of occupancy in your own work. Keep a small count on paper. Do not be discouraged if the count reaches 10. Be fascinated. You are watching, in real time, exactly how often the old machinery tried to run you every single day, unopposed, for decades. Today, it gets opposed. Day 3 is Witness Day, the brave one. Choose the safest person or place you have and show 1 feature you always edit out. 1 real opinion, 1 intense enthusiasm, 1 honest no, 1 piece of the strange, beautiful cargo. Before you do it, touch the mark. After you do it, notice that the sky did not fall, or, if it wobbled, notice that you survived the wobble with the original still out of the crate. Uncrating happens 1 feature at a time, and today 1 feature came home. Day 4 is Inventory Day. Sit down with the useless list you started this week, the Bezalel file, and add to it without any editor in the room. Then hold 1 question over the list, the garage question. Which of these has been knocking lately? Circle whatever answers. You are not required to act on it yet. Files mature. Seeds sit in the dark, doing invisible work. Your only job on day 4 is to keep the vault open and let the inventory be seen by you and by the one who placed it there. Day 5 is Bloodline Day. Somewhere in your world, there is a younger first edition, a child or a grandchild, a niece, a student, still bright, already being sanded. Today, you say the sentence to them, in your own words. You are not too much. You were made on purpose, exactly once. If no child is within reach, write the sentence to the child you were, on paper, and leave it in the room with the open door. Either way, the swindle loses ground in your family line today, and heaven records exactly this kind of small treason against the machinery. Day 6 is Audit Day. Choose the 1 borrowed template that is currently costing you the most, the routine or method or role you keep failing at on schedule. Do not recommit to it, and do not burn it in anger. Put it on the table and ask the 2 questions you learned. What fruit was this template supposed to produce? And what would produce that same fruit in a design like mine? Write the answer, even roughly. Then begin living the rough answer and let it be imperfect. A crude tool cut to your hand beats a precise tool cut to someone else. That trade, made once, teaches you how to make it everywhere. And day 7 is rest, real rest, the kind the manufacturers of this world have almost legislated out of existence. No practices today except the morning words and, if you wish, the mark. Instead, one small act of enjoyment of what you are, chosen freely. Walk somewhere your design loves. Make the thing nobody asked for. Sit in the sun like a finished work, because that is what you are. On the 7th day, the maker rested, not from exhaustion but in satisfaction, and originals are permitted, once a week, to do the same. Look back over the 6 planks behind you and say one sentence over them. It was very good. That is the week. And now 3 reassurances, because I know how first weeks actually go, and I refuse to send you out with a plan that shatters on contact with a bad Tuesday. First, when a dim day comes, and one will, do not read it as relapse. Read it as weather. The grey voice will say, the old configuration is back. See, nothing changed. But you now know the difference between weather and architecture. A cloud over a cathedral does not turn the lamps off. It just waits to move. On dim days, you do not need faith the size of a mountain. You need 2 words in the morning and 2 fingers on a mark, done without enthusiasm, which is exactly as valid as done with tears. Systems built on feelings die on Thursdays. Yours is built on facts. Second, when you miss a day, and you will, hear this in advance, nothing collapses. The covenant of this week is not perfection, it is return. The plan forgives instantly and completely, the way the one who made you forgives, which is to say, before you finish asking. Missing day 3 and returning on day 4 is not a broken week. It is a lived week. The disguise was built by a child under threat. The original will not be rebuilt under threat either, only under mercy, so keep the whip out of it entirely. And third, do not measure the week by fireworks. Measure it by hinges. You are not looking for ecstatic experiences by Friday. You are listening for small clicks, the sound of doors changing their default, catching the wrong ruler mid-swing, saying the true no without rehearsing it for an hour. A moment of enjoying your own company. These clicks are the actual sound of restoration, and they compound. The people around you will hear the difference before you do, and one day soon, someone who loves you will look at you strangely and say, something about you is different lately, and you will touch 2 fingers to your collarbone and smile. We are almost at the end now, and you can probably feel the air changing, the way it changes in a sanctuary when the final blessing gathers. Do not slip out the back yet. The name I promised you in the very first minutes has still not been spoken, and it comes after the blessing, not before, because that is the order of these things. What remains now is the sealing of everything, and I need your unhurried presence for it, because a seal pressed in haste never holds. So come and stand here with me at the end of the cascade, and before anything is declared, let us simply witness what happened tonight. 2 hours ago, you arrived carrying a question you had stopped expecting anyone to answer. Why do I not match anything? You arrived with a graveyard of borrowed systems, a lifetime of wrong rulers, a disguise built by a 7-year-old, and a verdict served so long ago you had mistaken it for your name. And look at the table now. Look at everything that was set down on it in one night. The verb that Scripture reserves for God alone, spoken over your making. A young man in Anathoth told that the knowing came before the forming. A slave craftsman filled with the Spirit before any priest or king, for work nobody had a category for. A wilderness voice with no template, ranked above the entire archive. The research that measured your childhood brightness and the honored science that mapped where it sleeps, the robbery named and the claim filed, and the case against you dismissed with prejudice by the only court that ever had jurisdiction. Nights like this do not happen often, chosen one. Be present for the last minutes of this one. I am not going to rush past gratitude, because gratitude is the correct posture in a room where this much was given. Quietly, wherever you are, let your heart say thank you, not performed thanks. The real kind. The kind you feel when someone returns something you thought was gone forever. Thank you for the child who guarded the crate. Thank you for the years that looked wasted and were workshops. Thank you for the ache of not matching, which turned out to be the fingerprint of the verb. Thank you that the archive door opened in my lifetime on this night, while there is still so much road ahead of me. And now, the release. And we will do it as an act, not as a sentiment, because you have learned tonight that your body keeps what your mind loses. In your mind, stand up. See yourself standing in that master workshop from before. Dawn closer now, the light beginning to gild the benches. And see, stacked in your arms one final time, everything you came in carrying. The borrowed templates, every system built from the shape of another soul. The rulers, every scale you ever used to measure a first edition against reprints. The reprint disguise itself folded like an old uniform after a war, and on top, a single sheet of paper, the old verdict, the one that says defective, its ink already fading. There is a long wooden table by the workshop door. It is not an altar of sacrifice. It is a returns counter, the place where finished works lay down the packing materials they no longer need. Walk to it now and lay the whole stack down. Do it slowly, the way you would set down something you carried so long that your arms have forgotten they are arms. Hear the sound the stack makes on the wood. Feel the strange, cold lightness in your hands, and then feel it become warmth. You are not abandoning those things in shame. You are returning them to the room where all costumes and crutches eventually retire, with thanks for the survival they purchased, and with the firm understanding that they will not be coming home with you. Step back from the table, look at the pile once. Notice that it looks smaller already, the way all surrendered things do. The templates that ruled you for decades are just paper and habit on a wooden counter, and you are the only living original in the room. Now turn toward the door, because the light outside has changed, and what remains of this night is not about what you have put down. It is about what you are about to pick up, and it cannot be carried in the same arms that were holding all of that. That is why the laying down had to come first. It always does. Empty-handed then, marked under the collarbone, acquitted, reunited, and standing in the doorway of the workshop with the morning coming up. This is exactly how you were always meant to stand, and I want you to memorize the feeling of this posture, because the world will try to hand you its stack again by Thursday, politely, insistently, one template at a time. Let it find your hands busy. Busy with the unborrowed acts, busy with the inventory, busy with the assignment that has been waiting through all of history for these two particular hands to become available. They are available now. And so we come to the blessing I promised, the words to be spoken over your life. Receive them the way ground receives rain, without effort, without argument. You have done enough arguing against yourself for one lifetime, and heaven is not asking you to qualify for what it is about to say. It is only asking you to stand still and be addressed. Blessed is your mind, both houses of it, the counting house and the dreaming house, and blessed is the road between them. May the traffic return lane by lane. May the janitor light be joined, lamp, by every light the building was drawn to hold, until the people who only ever knew the dim version of you have to shade their eyes and ask what happened. And may your thoughts from this night Be original before they are acceptable. Blessed are your gifts, the whole strange cluster, the ones with names and the ones still filed under useless. May the Bezalel file open in its season. May provision learn your address through the exact doors the world told you to brick over. May the skills your Egypt exploited become the skills your tabernacle requires, and may nothing you ever suffered be wasted. Not 1 year, not 1 hour, not one scar of the one and only issue of you. Blessed is your assignment, the one with no precedent and no substitute. May the rooms that have waited through all of history for your combination begin to find you starting this week, starting in ordinary clothes. May the people whose locks match your scars be led across your path at the hours appointed before your birth. And when you stand where no one has stood, doing what no one has done, because no one has ever been you, may you feel not the terror of the unprecedented, but the deep amusement of a child who has finally been allowed to play their own game. And blessed is your bloodline, upstream and down. May the swindle end with you. May the children who watch your uncrating receive it as permission that saves them 40 years. May the sentence you speak this week, "You were made on purpose," exactly once, echo in your family long after your name needs explaining. You were never just escaping a warehouse, chosen one. You were opening one, and generations are shelved in there with you. Now, stand up on the inside, because witnessing is over, and gratitude is over, and the blessing has been laid on you. And what remains is the one moment of this entire message where you do not receive but declare, not shouting, full. The way a bell is full. Say these words with me, out loud if your room allows it, in the marrow if it does not, and mean every syllable, because heaven treats declarations from acquitted mouths as legal documents. I am the first of my kind. I am not a copy that failed. I am an original that survived. I am formed, not manufactured, known before I was made, marked by the maker who answers for me. I am the owner of a blueprint no thief can read and no era can reproduce. I am done auditioning. I am done measuring. I am done hiding a cathedral behind an apology. The mold I kept failing was never mine, and I declare in the hearing of everything that has ever graded me, the mold is not broken because I broke it. The mold is broken because, for me, there never was one. I am the claim and the claimant. The years the locusts ate are being restored to my account with their fruit, and I receive them not as charity, but as title. What was dimmed in me was never dead, and what was buried in me was never discarded. It was scheduled, and the schedule has arrived. I am available now, to my God, to my assignment, to my people, to my own life. The watch is relieved. The original is in service. The first edition is, at last and forever, in circulation. Breathe. Let the fullness settle back down into the mark under your collarbone, where it lives now. And while it settles, perform the final act of tonight, the smallest and most public one. Go to the comments beneath this message and write 4 words. First of my kind. Write it as your signature on everything that was declared in this room. Thousands of other first editions will scroll past that wall of signatures, each one written by a design that exists exactly once, and together they will form something history has never seen either, a gallery of originals, none of them repeating, all of them witnessed. Add yours. It matters more than you know. And now it is finished. What was opened tonight cannot be closed again by any Thursday. What was spoken tonight was not spoken by me. I was only the courier, and couriers do not take back letters. The seal goes on gently, the way the master lays his palm flat on finished work, once, without pressing. because the work was already complete before the palm arrived. And so it is. The message is sealed, but you are still here, and I knew you would be, because there is one promise left on the table, and you have been carrying it for 2 hours. In the opening minutes, before you knew what this night would become, I told you that heaven has a name for you, a name it has used since before you were formed, a name no human being has ever spoken over you out loud. I am going to keep that promise now, after the seal, because this name is not part of the message. It is what you take with you when the message is over. Understand first how names work in the country you actually come from. Down here, names are labels picked from lists, shared by millions. Up there, names are specifications. When heaven names a thing, it describes exactly what was made and why, which is why so many names in Scripture had to be changed when destinies were revealed. Abram became Abraham when the assignment was spoken. Simon became the rock the day the design was read out loud. Your birth certificate holds the label your family chose. It does not hold the specification. Here is what I believe stands written over your blueprint, in the language where bara is a common verb, translated as close as English allows. It reads, the first of your kind, not the best of a category, the entirety of one. The name says, this design opened with you and closes with you. It says, whatever this one becomes will be becoming it for the first time in the history of everything. It says, handle accordingly. And now notice what you did tonight, because I watched you do it. Minutes ago, before this name was ever revealed, you wrote it under this message with your own hands, first of my kind. You signed the specification before you saw it. And 2 hours ago, at the very beginning, when you knew almost nothing, some of you typed 4 words on nothing but instinct. I am the first. You prophesied your own name at the door of this message and confirmed it at the altar, and no one told you what it meant either time. That is how recognition works in the deep places. The original in you has been reading ahead all night. So the question you brought here is answered, and I want you to hear the answer in its final form. You asked, all your life, why do I not match anything? And the answer is, because a first of its kind has nothing to match. You were never a puzzle piece cut wrong for the puzzle. You were a whole different picture, delivered in a puzzle box, and tonight, the box was finally read correctly. That lifelong ache was your name, knocking. It will never mean loneliness to you again. 3 doors remain open behind this message, and then I will let you go. The first is the wall of signatures. If you have not yet written it, or if you wrote the early words and want to complete the circle, go and set your 4 words down. First of my kind. Every signature strengthens the gallery, and someone dimmer than you will read that wall tonight and begin to wonder about their own specification. The second door is in the description and in the pinned comment. Behind it waits the 8-minute sequence we spoke of, the switch built for the starved crossing, with its 4 companions and its ironclad promise that returns every cent for any reason at all. If your spirit leaned tonight, that door is how the leaning becomes a first morning. It will take you 2 minutes to walk through, and it may take the dimness the rest of the way out. And the third door is a face, the person who surfaced in your mind 2 hours ago and has quietly refused to leave it. Send them this message before you sleep, with the one sentence. This found me, and it sounded like you. Somewhere in the world their crate is waiting for a courier, and history, which never repeats its designs, has a habit of connecting its originals through exactly this kind of small obedience. Then close your eyes tonight, first of your kind, with 2 fingers resting for a moment on the mark beneath your collarbone, and let the last sentence of this night be the first sentence of everything after it. You are the first person in all of history God did this for. He has never made another you. He never will. And beginning tomorrow morning, with 2 small words spoken into the dark, the world gets to find out, at long last, what the original sounds like at full brightness. Go and be unrepeatable. You never had another option, and tonight you no longer want one.